We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for this special report.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody! Awesome! You people bought a ticket to see me, so shut up!
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no control.
Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you live under a rock,
I might grab a bat, I don't know, my rap, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll bleed on your face just to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you gon' wish you was just a fuck up real bad.
Shut up! Be the villain! And I have no problem at all, because I couldn't care less if you like me or not. I'm here for success, and there's no one more successful than Grayson Waller.
Yeah! Let me talk to you. War game.
What's up, everybody? Welcome. Let's talk some wrestling here on This Week of Professional Wrestling with your host, BX Sports JEDI Kev, and the one and only from the beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Allentown, Hershey, Pittsburgh, you name it, you got it, Chris. You're all over the state of Pennsylvania. What's up,
I'm
Chris?
all over the state. What is up, Kev? Co-host here, Weekly Wrestling. I'm PGH Chris, and I'm excited. We're starting off a little early today, but there's still so much to talk about from this week, so let's get right into it. I will be in Philly later tomorrow evening if you're in the Philly area for Dynasty. I probably won't be at the show, but I will be at a bar right down the show, right outside Temple University, watching it. So if you're in the Philly area, come say what's up. I'm excited for the weekend. Let's go.
Yes, indeed. He will be in Philly. Let's go. Chris, let's go. Let's get this. This is a week. This is the build up, the road to WrestleMania, the go away show for Dynasty in Philadelphia. There's a lot of things also building in for Unbreakable for TNA. So a lot of action in the world of professional wrestling with all three of the brands, or four, because you also have Stand and Deliver the build for that. So we've got a lot of stuff. Of course, the name of the title is the Road to WrestleMania Build Up, a main eventer, a favor, a new North American Saints marching in, and a dynasty, building of a dynasty or a death riding with some or could it be a rated R affair? So we are going to break into that, and so a lot of unbreakable situation and more. But let's start with Monday Night Raw on the 31st there. The final Raw on the European tour. Of course, the final Raw that was televised a little early. And the show, we get something that was great. Let's talk about that John Cena, Cody Rhodes. This is their third straight face-to-face, but this was more of a back-and-forth promo battle, a merge where a lot of shots was fired. Everybody's asking the question, who got cooked? You know, was it Cody Rhodes? Was it John Cena? I'm not going to try to go through the whole thing. I would like to, but we want to wrap up, and we have another program at 3 o'clock with the Knicks taking on the Atlanta Hawks. So we don't want to stay too elongated, but we're going to try to cover as much as possible here. Let's go with I'm going to try to get as much as possible. Cody Rhodes immediately tries to disarm or diffuse John Cena with making fun of himself, talking about, yes, I have a tattoo on my neck, I have a little bit of a lisp, trying to take ammo out of John Cena's arsenal. But at the end of the day, John Cena hit him with some stuff that the tattoo, I'm not where you put it, is what it means. Pretty much calling himself a mark. You're marking out on your own gimmick, and you tattooed it on your neck. How do you see it? How do you thought that one went?
I thought that was a good shot because like it kind of surprised me when Cody Rhodes straight up said, these are all the things you can make fun of me of. Go ahead. And I kind of thought, well, there's more. Like John Cena can whatever. But him mentioning his tattoo being it is really Markish to tattoo your own freaking logo on your neck. I mean, I didn't mind. Like I remember when he first did it. Like I thought it was cool, but Cena did an outstanding promo. I thought he took a lot of facts. I don't think he's really said one lie. I think now I can see John Cena winning the world title or the Undisputed Championship as of right now. But the promo back and forth was good. It's just Cody is a mark for tattooing his own stuff. And then I think Cody comes back about like the jorts and his dick. Like that some of the comebacks were kind of corny from Cody Rhodes. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't get it. You got more dick in your promo than your jorts.
Your jorts. That I didn't understand. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, I wanted to know.
Wasn't that.
I mean, maybe now that the Bella Twins are announcing that they might be returning back to the WWE, maybe we can ask Nikki if there's enough. Maybe she could tell us and confirm the size or deny. I mean, we'll find. Well, only time will tell. We'll find out. Well, that's the hard hitting questions we would like. These so-called wrestling media on the scrums to ask. Maybe we could get some clarification on that. But we'll move on with that. Yeah, I liked it. And also Cody calling him a piece of shit. You always be my hero, but you're still a piece of shit. All right. Okay. I mean, remember there's little kids watching you, John. But again, I mean, Cody, I'm okay with. That didn't bother me. It was back and forth. It was good. I like the fact that John Cena says that you've been protected. And of course, and he's made the most out of the crap that was given to him. It's not his fault that creative tells who goes over, who doesn't go over, or if it was a crappy build or booking or whatever the case. He's just there to be, like he said, what does he say in his intro? He's a soldier. If you look at his theme music, he's a soldier. He's a soldier. And he does what the soldier needs to do, follow orders. And if the creator
Cody Rhodes tells him, have you ever heard the crowd? You never heard the crowd chant me that I can't wrestle.
I mean, all right. That was a good line there. But that was a very good line. I'm not going to lie. Me not being too much of that was a very good line from Cody. You can't wrestle. Although John Cena is one, you could, they're in the business of sports entertainment. Am I right? So is John Cena. So John Cena is a main eventer, 17-time world champion, means he could entertain.
Yeah, exactly. And guys like Michael Cole, they say all the time, right? We're not a professional wrestling company, we're an entertainment company. Michael Cole, but I don't even think
it's to that degree, Chris. I think it's if he didn't know how to wrestle and entertain, he wouldn't be in the card. No, absolutely. But it was a good line though, because a lot of people say that, and you could tell that what this confirmed is that these performers, they listen and hear the noise that is made on the social media, the IWC, and they want to bring it to a little bit of the promos where you're like, oh, damn, that was said on this and so forth. So that, we'll see where that goes. I like that, they got into some physicality at the end, but the biggest line before the physicality was John Cena builds empires for billionaires while he steals their money of their children. Now, here's the one thing. Who is he talking about? Because a lot of people, I'm going to ask you, when you heard it, who you thought he was referring?
The Rock.
So he's stealing.
When he says, I built empires, and I think he's talking a little about how he's like The Rock. That's what I got.
Okay, that's fine. That's interesting. I didn't think of that one, but that's why we have these conversations to hear other people's perspective and other people's thought process. That's what makes the wrestling community great, because what I hear myself or see, you might not see it, or vice versa, right. And maybe it changes my perspective to try to look through your lens. But when he meant, so who Cody Rhodes stole money from? Who is the children of the billionaire he stole money from? Because some people have two different interpretations. Who do you think Cody? Who do you think? When that came to your mind, who do you thought John Cena meant and referred?
Vince. But okay. I could be wrong.
All right,
When he
no,
says
that's
billion,
fine.
it was stealing billionaire because Vince was the last signing, and Vince flew all the way to go get Cody. So I don't. I mean, unless he is talking about Tony Khan, but when he says I built empires, at first I thought he was kind of referring to himself as like a rock, as like I'm built
Okay.
empire. Like, I'm like the rock.
Right, that's fine. I build empires for billionaires. So who is the
Right,
billionaire he's built that empire for?
Himself.
All right.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm thinking The Rock, but I don't know who the billionaire he stole money from.
All right, that's no problem. Okay, so when he says I build empires for billionaires, I'm thinking he built an empire for Vince McMahon, because when Vince McMahon was not a self-made billionaire yet until he went publicly trading after the Attitude Era into the Ruthless Aggression Era, that's when they became publicly traded, and then he became a self-made billionaire. And of course, John Cena was the head of the realm of the championship there at that time, and that timeline. He was the face. He was the guy that was carrying them to that. So I feel like he was the one that was helping them build billionaire. And also, Ethan, what's up, Ethan? And as well, when he says you stole money from their children, the billionaire children, Tony Khan, he stole money from there. I thought it was Tony Khan, but Dave LaGreca thinks that it was Stephanie and Triple H, which Stephanie and Triple H do not, they do not own WWE. They never had owned WWE to pay him. It belongs to Ari Emanuel, TKO, Endeavor. Do your research. If you're going to be on Busted Open trying to change the wrestling booking like you did last year and this year, you should know that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon does not own or pay the wrestlers. So it's kind of funny with that, but that's the way I interpret it. Stealing money from Tony Khan, the son of a billionaire, and that's the way I took it. But I like the way you thought about it, because maybe that's why John Cena aligned himself with The Rock, because he's going to build.
That's what I thought he was getting at. I honestly thought he was going to get that. When he said that, I thought there was going to be some mention of The Rock but there wasn't. That's what as soon as he said that, I thought of The Rock instantly. But I see what you mean though, because like originally I thought Vince for different reasons, but I like your reason, right? Because John Cena, I mean, when they went public in like right before like the 2010s or like mid 2000s, John Cena was on top of the world. He was their champion. He was on Raw. He was one of the biggest Raw. He had one of the biggest Raw signings. When Jericho comes out and he's like, "Who's the Raw dude?" Place went apeshit. It was around that time too. So I think it was all facts from John Cena's promo too. And Cody Rhodes had some good stuff. Like I said, the "You Can't Wrestle" chant was okay. There was some corny.
I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
They'll have way more back and forth, the next 2 weeks. Hopefully.
Now, does it benefit them to hide? They're not going. I don't think we're going to see John Cena until WrestleMania. To be honest with you, I don't think we're going to.
I hope not. I hope he's there at least the Raw or the Monday app before me.
Yeah,
I hope so. At least the Monday or the Friday before WrestleMania.
We'll see. We'll see on that. We'll move a little bit. What's up, Chris the Flash in the building? What up, Chris? How are you? Before we move on here with the wrapping up the John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and like I wanted to say with one thing, and you said I build empires for billionaires. He wants to build Rock an empire so he could be continue to be a billionaire. I don't know if Rock is a billionaire right now or not. I haven't checked the Forbes billionaire club. Although I'm not really looking into that but I will check if he's not. John Cena is going to try to build him with the TKO stocks and getting in there and all that stuff. So maybe that's why when you said Rock, you opened my mind to look at it a different perspective. That's why I appreciate when we have these conversations, what you heard, what you saw, what your eyes and your ears interpret, and what my eyes and ears interpret watching the product. So that was a good one, pretty good there. So we'll see what this battle between Cody Rhodes and John Cena heading into the road to WrestleMania in just about 2 weeks before we get to 1 week before the go home show, in between a SmackDown or Raw, before we get to the go home programs. We'll see what they build, if The Rock is mentioned or he shows up, or I don't think we'll see Cena until WrestleMania. That's just me personally. We'll see what happens there. We're going to hear from Cody Rhodes the following Friday at SmackDown. We'll see what happens there. One thing that a return, pleasantly surprised. We had the New Day and the returning of Tyler Bates in London with the new Catch Republic. I like to see that Tyler Bates is back. He was their first NXT UK inaugural champion. He's back from injury. He's back. Another tag team to add to the Raw brand, along with the New Day. New Day picks up the win. They told that good story, rightfully so. We want to see New Day and the Viking Experience or the War Raiders, whatever they want to be called, taking on the New Day, because that's where it's going to lead. But you need more tag teams. And Ethan, Ethan, check your DMs on Instagram real quick. I'd send the link if you'd like to come on the Raw segment, because you were in attendance, to tell us how that place was through your words. Check your DMs. The link is there. We'd love you to come on for that Monday Night Raw segment and tell us your experience, if you're able to. I don't know if you're out and about and just listening to us. If you're able to, if you're in front of the computer, but if we're understanding if you're not, definitely wanted to open that platform up to you from someone who was at the O2 Arena first for Raw and SmackDown, Ethan, out in the UK. As we go on here, so it was great to see them both, Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne, both. What a job. I'm out in London, but there you go. I understood that. I understand. That's why I asked if you were able to come out with us on, if you were out and about. So good job there. We get the War Raiders comes out. They're teasing that match between them. I don't think there's much to elaborate there. Just we got more tag teams than Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates. And then we have the New Day going on. We'll move on here. In a match that this turned around the build, the wanting to see and desire with story. And if you're a fan of either one, or you're going to be now emotionally invested, because you had Jimmy Uso taking on Gunther. Now, of course, there's the video shown of Jimmy Uso slap that heard around the world. Of course, you see the slap that he gave him. After that, they returned back where Jimmy Uso and main event Jey Uso catches up with each other. Jimmy has a conversation with Jay that Gunther is just a man, and he vows to show that he could beat him tonight. But then he tells them that he could do the same at WrestleMania, trying to pep talk his brother and finally become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. But Jay tells Jimmy, he hears him, but he tells him, be careful out there. Now, putting that little bit of dissension that, Gunther is a real deal. He's dangerous. So the show goes into a quick commercial. It returns from the commercial break. The WWE World Champion Gunther is shown walking to the halls in his gear. And when they return and announce that Michael Kopacki will host, of course, the Hall of Fame induction. I'm reading from the transcript in Vegas. And then, of course, we get to the match. The bell rings and we see Gunther being flashy, cocky, smiling, beating him up, where, of course, he's pounding him and destroying him. And then he's lifting his head up instead of the old-fashioned heel one-on-one. When you have your opponent beat, no, I got to beat you some more. When the finish is there and he picks up the head, no, I'm not done with this poser. 1, 2, he did it like 3 times, all to some nasty chops. But here is the main objective of this whole match. Gunther gets the victory, but the aftermath, just a beat down on Jimmy that prompts Jay to come out. Jay comes out and then he gets zip tied onto the ropes. You're going to watch now the punishment I'm going to give to your brother. He takes the world title belt, hits him on the head, and he cuts him open. I mean, you see the blood, the crimson mask. Here's the shot that I love. When Gunther takes the blood of his opponent and smears it all over his. Like, this is my trophy. This is the kill. This is the trophy, the prize that I beat. I hunted this fella, and I got the blood to put it all over my face. And the emotion of Jay wanting to come to the aid of his brother, invested. Chris, what was your roller coaster of emotion when you saw this?
Well, I said that they should do this weeks ago, because when Triple H was talking about main event, I kind of had a feeling that this match wasn't going to be the one, as a lot of people wanted it to be. So what I said on the air was, during Weekly Wrestling that week, I said, do something where Gunther just beats the shit out of Jimmy, or something like that. And they did it late, but they finally did it. And yes, now you're more invested into it because now it's a little more personal. It's not just Jimmy going out doing his yeet and then Gunther comes out and chokes him out. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Jimmy or Jay doesn't seem so confident he can beat Gunther, because if you remember at the press conference, he was talking all this like, give me whoever, like, I'm not scared, like, I know I can do it. But it's like, this guy has gone, ever since Jay has said that at the press conference, Gunther has gone out and picked Jay's ass every single week. After his matches, going out there, putting him in chokeholds, beating him up backstage. I mean, this just kind of adds to the fire that Jay needs. Because after all, getting submitted after the matches, Gunther coming up behind him and kind of sneak attacking him. I think this is kind of Jay's last, like, straw. Like, okay, like, if I'm Jay, you won't see me. I don't think he should do a yeet until WrestleMania. I don't think he should come out into the entrance until WrestleMania with the whole yeet. Why? Because now that this happened, I think he should be more serious. And when he let the fans do it, but when he's out there, no, don't do it. I think that it should. Imagine everybody coming out WrestleMania, all those 100,000 waving their hands for Jey Uso, finally beating up Gunther after, especially what just happened on Monday. Yeah. After this, I think Jay should come out really more serious. I don't think he should do the yeeting at all until WrestleMania. These last couple of Mondays, don't yeet, and it's going to make his moment at WrestleMania 10 times more special because of this moment. So good job. They needed to do this. I wish they would have done this a couple weeks ago, but they're at a really, really good spot now. Now it kind of intrigues me what they're going to do with Jimmy as well, because he was kind of hot, kind of had some good matches. Now this happened, so I'm curious to see his comeback as well. But phenomenal job.
Indeed, and that's what wrestling is about: making a moment and getting you invested. Again, we know it doesn't matter what the predictability of the outcome is. You want to know the story throughout the day, and I've been saying that a lot. I said it on Good Morning Wrestling that I hosted for Samuel Lyons. Please check him out on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Samuel Lyons, Good Morning Wrestling with the host Samuel Lyons from Lagos, Nigeria, on the Sports JEDI Network, talking the mornings with wrestling, or waking you up with professional wrestling and some interviews and more with Samuel Lyons on the Sports JEDI Network. And then we talked about it, and I say predictability. We know that the sun is going to set at 8 o'clock or later in the evening, and it's going to rise 6:30 in the morning, depending where you are. You know the sun's going to rise from the east, but we don't know what's going to happen in the course of the day. That's the way I like my professional wrestling. The unpredictability of what's going to happen throughout the day. The day is predictable, but we don't know what's going to happen in the course of the unpredictability of the day. That's how I like the booking of professional wrestling. Regardless of the fact that if Gunther might go over or not, it could, if it's predictable, not predictable with the outcome. But I like that, like you said, the story they're telling, because now Jay has to fight now for the honor of his brother. You destroyed my brother. You busted him open. You made him bleed. You took his blood and smeared it like a trophy, like a possession, like a conquering gladiator. His blood is spilled on the dirt. The earth is screaming, Jamie's blood. I have to avenge and honor it. And now that's what Jay has now on his side to go. And now I have to honor that. I have to mend that. And like you said, I would like to. Personally, I wouldn't want to see Jay in a match at all, or even I want backstage. Give me backstage, him training, him looking for counsel. Something. Give me something where he's just working his ass off, and he's motivated and all he thinks in the background is you could play the clips of Gunther just pounding his brother, damn, he's really damn. He's really like getting in there.
That's why I said he shouldn't yeet. That's why I'm saying if he's really like that, don't yeet. I'm sorry for the people that are going to be at Monday Raw for the next couple of weeks, because I know when I went to Raw the last 2 times last year, that's what I was looking forward to. But I truly think he should not come out and yeet at all. You guys can do it, but for him to make him look like really make it feel like he has it in for Gunther, like make it really feel like he's angry and like pissed off. A little more of that bloodline Jay, kind of like, okay, this is my family, like you're messing with, like that's all he was about during that time. If you notice Jey Uso during the early bloodline days, it's like he was so heel and he was so mad because people kept fucking messing with his family. Excuse me. But and now that you have this is going to bring out that other side of Jay that we know, and we haven't seen it because he's so like we haven't seen that badass version of Jay like we had at 39. So, and it was all because you were messing with his family. Now you're messing with his family. Now you're gonna get that type of Jey Uso this year. So I'm excited. And when he does win, if he does win, the moment with all the people in Las Vegas eating, that's gonna be special. I think you should really wait until that moment. In my opinion.
If they pull the trigger on it, yes.
If they pull the trigger, I think you should wait. Yep.
I agree with you on that. We'll see what happens there, but it made a 180-degree turn. If you weren't feeling lukewarm or you were cold on it, it got you back on the right track. The road to WrestleMania begins. Listen, believe it or not, WrestleMania 1, the build was only 3 weeks. That's it. WrestleMania 1, to put that whole card up, was only a 3-week build. That's it. WrestleMania 3, the biggest one, that was, I think, a month only with Andre Turn or whatever the case was. They were all short builds back in the day. If it's done correctly, with a right story, with emotional investment, you're going to gravitate and want to see it. The Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage, I believe it was like 6 weeks or a month when Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man took Ricky Steamboat, put his throat on the barricade, and hit the forearm from the top and supposedly crushed his esophagus where he couldn't speak. He had to go to speech therapy, that kind of build. Because now you're emotionally invested behind Ricky the Dragon because this guy almost took the ability to speak away. And now you wanted him to get his comeuppance and beat the crap out of the Macho Man. He didn't really kind of beat him. He out-wrestled him and got the pin. But my point was he got the victory. You was invested in that match. When done right, when there's an injury or when there's a place where you're feeling the empathy for the babyface, it works. And it's been working for over 40 years. And now you have that empathy with Jimmy getting busted wide up, bleeding all over the ring on his brother's arms, his brother helpless, inches away, fingertips away from helping his brother and couldn't because he was impaired. Now it's personal. Oos. And we'll go on and see what goes next for them. We had a tag team match. I'm going to go through this a little quick. Braun Breaker and Penta versus Finn and Dominic, where you thought that Judgment Day was going to be in the dissension where Finn and Dominic are not seeing eye to eye, but it was the Braun Breaker spear into Penta caused the dissension there where now Penta gets pinned. We get a backstage where Penta and Braun had to be separated. Looks like we're getting an Intercontinental title match. We don't know if it's going to be Braun, Penta, Finn, and Dominic, or it's going to be Penta and Braun. There's still more to come. There's still more storyline to this. So let's pump the brakes before it gets announced and who gets announced for the Intercontinental title match.
I personally think just Penta and Braun would be a good match. Now, it kind of sucks because you are leaving out Finn and Dom, and I think you didn't leave those two out of WrestleMania, especially Dom. I think Dom has such a bright future. I think he could win that Intercontinental Championship. So, to me, if you do want to make it a triple threat match, you got to add some way, somehow, between Finn and Dom because, you know, we see it backstage, right? Like, Judgment Day, they didn't want Penta as the member, all this stuff. I think Finn's won an Intercontinental title shot. They could do the triple threat between, like, Finn, Penta, and Braun. Me personally, I would like to just see a classic match between Braun and Penta. I think the story's there already between those two, with Braun accidentally spearing Penta, Penta not knowing that, Penta going back there and thinking that Braun did it on purpose, them had to be separated. I think those two alone can make a really good match and a really good build. Because they're both big guys with a little bit of different styles at the same time. So I want to see, me personally, just those two. Classic match. We don't need another multi-man match. We don't need to add Dom and Finn in there as much as I would love Dom added. You don't need to do that. I think you could build up. They're already starting to, unless they could insert it, which again, things are up in the air for that because they're all the last couple of weeks talking about each other and meeting with each other. But I personally would like to see a classic match between Braun and Penta because I think that'd be one of the most. I think that would be the underrated match of the card of the night, depending on what's on that first night, second night. I think that match could be one of the steel shows.
And I respect that your thought process, but I don't want to see a one-on-one with Penta and Braun due to the fact that I don't want to see Penta getting a clean pin already on and I know you cannot go undefeated forever in the WWE career. You're going to take a one-on-one singles loss. And also, if you it's a no-win situation when it comes to the wrestling booking. If Braun loses the Intercontinental title, you're a hot potato or rushing a former All Elite Wrestling champion, a wrestler as a champion. You're giving them championship too because you're trying to you're gonna get heat no matter which way. Oh no, you see now you're gonna but now the main stage, Penta's gonna be jobbing at and not always a champion, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. So you can win either way when it comes to booking. That's why I want to see a multi-man match with 4 because you have 4 men could come out with so many different storylines after WrestleMania. Remember, WrestleMania ends. Wrestling doesn't end. It doesn't take an off season. We'll come back in 3 months because we're it's the World Series. We're coming back. See you in spring training. We'll see you in training camp or preseason games. No, wrestling continues. Wrestling continues. There's a Monday night after WrestleMania where now if you have Finn with Liv and Dominic in that triangle that could cause the issue of one of them not winning the Intercontinental title, they could veer off and feud in a feud. You could now then, if you want to go Braun and Penta, you can because of you don't want it in a big stage of Mania. You could slowly build that for Backlash. You don't have to do it right away. You could still have many storylines coming out of that, and that's what you want to hold. You want WrestleMania also to end feuds and begin one, if it makes sense. And when you have that and I understand you have a triple threat match already at one of your main events. You have a women's triple threat. I understand that, but you also got to get folks that been all year in your wrestling up and down the whole year into the biggest show of your company, and that's a way of bringing in Dominic. Dominic is worthy of being in the WrestleMania, like you said. So has Finn Balor. Penta just came in, and you want to showcase his star. This is a way of doing that. Skinning a cat and or trying to have your cake and eat it too. I kind of would like to see that. That's why I made that assumption, especially if Triple H and Creative is going to give you 6 to 7 matches per night. You gotta make it make sense, and you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. Now I understand. I can see where you disagree with it, and you know what? You make great palate points. You make great palate points on that. But I give you the counter answer.
I see where you're. I see exactly where you're going to, because again, nobody really wins. If it is a one-on-one match, nobody's gonna win. If you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And yeah, I can agree with your take. Absolutely.
Here's Triple H burying the young NXT talent to the former AEW wrestlers coming in. Yeah. That's he can win. But meanwhile, Braun is a 2-time.
And here comes Penta. You guys thought he was going to be this big thing, and people still
he's jobbing to
that he's. Yeah. Mind you, people still bring up the fact that he's wrestled on Main Event.
Correct. See what I mean?
Yes. People like if Ray Phoenix, like we'll talk about him later, but if I'm scared he's gonna start getting that same treatment too. If they don't start, you know what I mean? It's not fair. It's really not fair. But I get your point. If it is a 1-on-1, no one's really gonna quote unquote win the match. So you could add those 2 guys, take the pin, and then maybe they can do something together down the line. No problem.
Mm-hmm. And even if whoever wins it, let's say Dominic Mysterio wins the Intercontinental Champion in a way, but you could tell that story where now you have Braun chasing him, or now you could go Penta and Braun because Braun, you cost me my Intercontinental title. That's a story that could come out of that where there is no title there. So if Braun takes the loss to a Penta, fine, because you know what? He lost his focus. He's so hell bent on getting his Intercontinental title. He took his eye on the prize and not concentrated on Penta. And Penta got a victory on Braun Breaker and Backlash because there is no Intercontinental title there. Or Braun Breaker beats Penta and Backlash because Braun Breaker's refocused because he's really mad. He wants his Intercontinental title back, and he had to try to destroy Penta because he's on a mission to win. And Penta, he regroups. You could still say, you know what, I lost that to Braun, but I'm regrouping. I'm gonna, there's ways of storylines where you could circumvent it and come back at it. But if he goes to the world title, the Intercontinental title, and loses, what next? You're gonna go back to you're gonna drop down. Like if Penta says I want an intercontinental title match, nothing. So we'll move on here. We'll go to the next segment. El Grande Americano returns next week in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I can't wait to see that there.
From the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America.
No, we're going to get to that, Heather. Right now we're on Monday Raw. We'll work quickly to get to the Friday because we got a lot to say about Friday Night SmackDown as well. Heather, if you ever want to join us on screen to have you give your thoughts, you're more than welcome. If you want to talk about that segment, let me know where I can send you a link. You could come on camera and talk just about that, and then you could come off because we asked Ethan, but he's out and about. I would love to hear your thoughts. What's going on? D-Walk is in the chat. What's going on, brother? How are you? And we move on here. Logan Paul, AJ Styles have some words with each other. This is gonna word of words was okay, was not the greatest or not the worst, but I want to see this matchup because I kind of see, and I hate to make this comparison, I see Logan Paul a younger AJ Styles in wrestling ability, not personality wise, in wrestling. I kind of see something similarities there. I want to see these two guys wrestle. You talked about that might steal the show. I think that match might steal the WrestleMania show.
I agree. Look, I've
Oh, come on, Heather. You could turn your camera off and give you the floor to speak because we need a woman's perspective. And I'm sorry, let me give this real quick.
No, you're good.
Ladies of the wrestling community. I know Canary is recovering from her injury. She's our lady, and as well as Miss Gemma. Those are our two ladies of the Heel the Ring. Right now, Miss Gemma's studying to be a PhD, and Canary has some health issues that she's working physically. We need female content hosts or creators or pundits on the Heel the Ring podcast because we need to hear the women's point of perspective. Because we don't speak for the women community, the women's wrestling. Although I try to champion it, I try to get them over. We need the female representation. If you're a female that listens and wants to belong to us, like Shelly, like Miss Heather Wright, and so forth, I would love to hear your thoughts. My platform is open. I always said I even do a show for 2 women or 3 or 4 round table for you ladies to talk about wrestling on our network. We need that representation. We need to hear your voice. We're not trying to silence it. We want to amplify it, if it makes sense. All right.
Well
so
said.
we go.
Well said.
We'll go right here with the AJ. Well, hopefully we get that match. That's going to steal the night, Chris. I'm sorry I stopped your thunder there.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Real quick. I like this match. I wanted to see it ever since they kind of teased it because AJ Styles or Logan Paul has had some great matches at WrestleMania over the last couple of years. Seth Rollins, he had a great match SummerSlam with The Miz, Ricochet. He's had all these great matches at WrestleMania and against some really, really quality opponents too. This might be his best one. I thought the Seth Rollins one was pretty good. That was probably one of my favorites. And the Randy was a multi-match. And the Reigns match was good, but this match I think is going to be Logan Paul's best match because, like you said, we're not comparing, but we're just talking about styles, right? Styles of wrestling. Logan Paul kind of does that. I didn't think about it until Kev said it. Logan Paul kind of does remind me of like those type of movesets, like an AJ Styles moveset, like a Hangman. Like he gives me that type of vibe. And I think with AJ Styles being such a veteran that he is and so good at leading matches, I think he's gonna, they're gonna have a good match. AJ Styles is obviously gonna be the guy leading it, and do this. But with Logan Paul, he's so athletic, and I think that's why a lot of people hate him because of him, whatever. But we don't talk about his athletic ability in that ring enough. So it's gonna be a great match. It's gonna be a lot of back and forth, a lot of good spots. And I think it's not going to be too crazy of a match because, again, AJ's not going to be doing all the crazy shit he did back in the younger days. So it's going to be a good match, good pace. And I agree with Kev. I think that match. Now that I'm thinking about it, again, it depends what matches are on what card. But that could be a show stealer as well.
An underrated showstopping match. That could be it.
Yeah. But
we'll move on here. With the main event of Monday to close out the European tour was the WWE Women's World Title. Now, where Bianca Belair is your special guest referee. I never seen such a fine referee in my life before. Io Sky versus Ripley. But here's one thing I'm gonna say. I tell everybody this, and I'm sorry, guys, if it sounds like a broken record. I apologize if I'm repeating myself. But again, the sun rises from the east, and it rises at 7 in the morning or 6:30, depending on where you are, and the sun sets around 7, 8 o'clock every day. That's guaranteed. Each and every day is predictable. This build is predictable. We're going to get a triple threat match. I asked the wrestling community, during the course of your day, you have good days, you have bad days. Some days you might win $100 scratch off lottery ticket. You go to your supermarket. Some days you might lose $10, or some days you might get in, God forbid, in a car accident. Some days you might have the best day of your life where you find $100 on the floor. The course of the day has a different story, but it's still predictable the day and night. Now, this match is predictable. I asked this to you guys, the build. Is it a good day for you guys or a bad day? Because we get the match. It was a pretty good match there. Referee disqualifies both competitive. She had enough. It left with a no contest. I felt it was that day. I thought that day was kind of day. It could have been better because I want to know, okay, how does this affect WrestleMania now? So I'm pretty sure we're going to get a follow-up from Pierce on Monday regarding this, because because I'm pretty sure Rhea's going to have a gripe. You disqualified. I didn't get a chance to get a clean pin. I didn't get a fair opportunity. Bianca threw the match out. I don't know if Pierce says you shouldn't have put your hands on her. How do we get to the predictability, or how do we get to a good course of the day, Chris?
My thing is this, right? They should have I love Rhea Ripley. Love Rhea Ripley. It's just I think they need to include her in something in WrestleMania. I don't think they know exactly what with everything going on. They don't know exactly what she fits in with. I still don't understand why you switched the titles a couple weeks ago on that Monday. I still don't. It was good because like you said, it makes you need to watch on Monday night. To me, I kind of want to know what the purpose was for that. Was it to get Rhea? Because if you're just gonna have Rhea get into WrestleMania, if you didn't know, why would you? If you're having this struggle of what Rhea should do, how could Rhea get in the match? Why would you have her lose anyway? Rhea, look, I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I don't care. I've never been a fan of Io Sky. I love her in-ring work, but fair. I can't get behind her. She gives me nothing. I can't. Oh, I want to get behind. It's nothing. I've never felt that. Even during Io Shirai days in NXT, Black and Gold, never felt that way about it. And
it's fair.
I think a lot of people wanted her in a big match at WrestleMania, and she did not earn it. She just simply didn't earn it. Bianca Belair did, and Rhea was the champion. To me,
fair.
Where it could have been okay is that when Rhea signs the contract, that should have been the WrestleMania. You should have not, and that should have been official, and now you should start building up to it, because now the triple threat match is a couple weeks away. That match is still not official, and you had to go through another. What if this was the point of the I get it, nobody wins, but we kind of knew that was gonna happen. I don't understand if when Rhea signed the sneaked her way to sign the contract, should have just announced the match right there and start building.
I agree.
You didn't have to do this. Sign the contract. No, you're not a part of the match. We'll give you a match next week. No, she signed the contract. That's a good kind of like an Eddie Thorpe mind game. Oh, I'm going to sign the contract, and Eddie Thorpe got his contract match. He didn't have to go fight. They should have done that with this.
I agree with that, but here's my thought. Why I think they took the title, and two things. You got to watch Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, because you never know what could happen with the title changes. You just can't say a throwaway, hey, nothing really is going to happen, no title change. Why should I invest? Right. No, you have to watch it. You're going to miss out. They've done a good job with the shows, with the social media posts, and the backstage, all that. You have to be a part of it because you're going to miss something. Even when they do a segment with people in the background, the teasers, the Easter eggs, they've done a great job there. The production, they've done a phenomenal job with that. My point, I think they wanted Io in the European. The same reason why Shinsuke dropped it to LA Knight was that LA Knight, you heard the roar of the crowd with LA Knight as your United States champion. In Europe, they loved it. I think Io is, I think Rhea in Europe as the chaser makes money because the people are want to see Rhea. They love her in Europe, and Io is so over as the champion. They're gonna be invested. You saw the reaction that Io came out and got from the crowd and Rhea. Bianca, everybody's complaining that Bianca got booed and booed. That's a whole nother separate situation when it comes to Bianca Belair. We'll get to it if we got time at the end. I want to get into that because there's a big thing that I wish Samuel was on, but we'll definitely keep moving on it. Me personally, I think that's what they went. They want to see Rhea chasing Io the champion, feel good champion, and then against lost in the sauce is a little bit of Bianca Belair. It's going to be a triple threat, like you said. They should have ended it when she signed the contract and build. Oh damn, Rhea signed and now they build. Like, ooh, I wish they would have moved on for it. But let's see how they turn it around here. Doesn't mean the ladies ain't going to deliver. I think they're going to have a good match. I think that's going to be really good, and we'll see how that goes. That's Monday Night Raw. Let's get into NXT where the Saints keep marching in, has marched in to NXT. But first, the opening segment, Stephanie Becker, Ava, announcing that she will be relinquishing the Women's North American title, and a tournament is set up for qualifying matches to end up in a ladder match. I like the fact that they announced that. I would have liked this, though, me personally, building it up for NXT. One little caveat. You still had about another 2 weeks before Stand and Deliver. I would have had Stephanie Becker do one more title defense, double time, 2 times, and then go in that she's really banged up. Where then the following one, but then you didn't have enough time to build. I understand what they did because you didn't have enough time to build. Where they could have said, for your protection, you're going to get injured. You're more valuable. We have to take a title away from you to protect you, and that's when they could announce that. That would have been, but there wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time because now you give a reason. The company's trying to watch her back because they know that 2 title or multi-title reigns doesn't really work. You could walk around with 4 titles and you could dance and say you're a FFO. It doesn't work because you're going to get injured. You have to defend those titles. You can't go on wrestling.com and buy these titles and walk around with them and say you're a champion if you don't defend them multi-times. But we'll see. What's your thoughts on this ladder match?
That's why I didn't want Stephanie to win. First off,
you're right.
I hosted. If you guys saw me host NXT on Tuesday, when that announcement came out, I popped. I fucking popped. I didn't want Stephanie to win. I love Stephanie. She's one of my favorites. She's top three. One of my personal favorites in NXT. But again, the double champions does not work. And the reason why I had a problem with it, it doesn't work in a division where there's only 2 champions, 2 championships. To me, you're not giving you made this other championship for a reason. And girls like Jada Parker, Kalani, Fallon, they're not getting, even though the 2 of them already been champions, you get my point. They're not getting the exposure or the opportunities to compete for that title with Stephanie having both of them. And she should be focused on the main stuff. So thank you, NXT, and thank you, Ava, for doing this. Now, how do I feel about the ladder match concept? I like it. I think it's good. I think women, when it comes to NXT, the women have really good stipulation matches when there's a lot, like the Iron Survivor for the women at Deadline. It's always a good match. I always enjoy those women matches better than the men's, if I'm being honest. So I don't mind them having a ladder match. I think the contesting so far is Zarya and Kalani.
We'll get to that because we have some qualifying matches. Right? Yes.
Yeah, so I like the qualifying so far. There's more qualifying matches next week. So I like the concept. I like the concept. They do really good. And it's one of those things, right? WrestleMania sometimes in a couple of years like to do the multi-men IC title matches and so forth. So why not do this at Stand and Deliver? Good job. Good booking. I like it.
And it's good booking because if whoever qualifies gets to go to Stand and Deliver, and you have multi-women on the card, you're bringing over to Vegas and your show. You don't want to. NXT is going to be 4 or 5 matches anyway. Deep. It's not going to be that big of a match. It's so early in the morning. In Vegas,
before WrestleMania, people are going from there to WrestleMania. For Philly, everybody was at the Wells Fargo. As soon as that, you saw everybody go over to the stadium. So yeah.
So you don't want to take too much time or have it run along event and give an entire out wrestling fans. It's going to be short.
Too.
And then you have your. That's why you put a multi-women and you bring the ladder match. It makes sense. When things make sense, it has to make sense. You have to respect. But before that, Jordan Grace interrupts the conversation between Ava and Stephanie. She wants a shot at the world title. And then Jada Parker, that breaks out into a brawl between Parker, Grace, where Jordan clearing the ring, taking out security. Jordan Grace, like the juggernaut, looks like the badass. My goodness, she's a threat for Stephanie Becerra if there's a case for number one contendership, which Stephanie's going to choose. The condition is she's going to relinquish that title, but Stephanie gets to pick her opponent and stand and deliver, which is pretty cool. I like that trade-off. All right, then I get to wrestle who it is. We'll find out Tuesday who could it be. Could it be the juggernaut? Could it be one and only Jada Parker, or is it someone outside of the company, or not newcomer, someone who's been away with injury? I'm still going on record, ladies and gentlemen. I know, and this is a little bit of a spoiler. NXT last night in Crystal Rivers, Julia back in action. She was wrestling last night. Again, I don't think that was. She's not. I don't think she's really fully injured when she cried surgery stuff. Maybe some time off. I think they just did this because I think, again, I still say it's Mika Saramura. I still going with that. I think it's Julia versus Mika Saramura, or
you think she's going to sign with NXT over AEW?
Mika Saramura is NXT.
Oh, wait, never mind. I'm thinking of somebody.
No, I'm not talking. We're not talking about Squishy Tits Mina.
That's who I thought you were talking about at first. That's who I thought you were talking about.
Mika Saramona,
I know exactly who we're talking about.
The original final boss. Yes. She's retiring. Exactly. She's retiring at the end of the month.
At the end of the year. Yeah. I thought it was the end of the year.
I thought it was the end of the month. Well, she's retiring soon. That's John Cena who's retiring at the end of the year. But great. They're still great in their own way. But my point is, it could be that, or it could be returning Asuka. Asuka is an NXT world champion who hasn't been her record. And if La Primera wants to be the best NXT women's champion, why not take on the biggest and baddest NXT champion in Asuka? I know, no build, but that'll be a surprise out of left field. Holy crap. Because it won't hurt. We'll find out. I'm just trying to think outside the box. To see if something different happens with NXT. It wouldn't be surprising or put past me, because when they did Worlds Collide, I had no idea who was Blair Davenport, and I had no idea Mika was the world champ. And then that match still kicked ass with Mandy Rose winning. So that's my point. They're not afraid of doing unpredictable matches out of nowhere with competitors that we like. What? Ooh. And they build. That's why I've seen it before. I lived it, so I wouldn't be surprised if NXT does something on that. Well, but we got a backstage. Cora Jade and Lola Vice taking shots at Lola Vice. If she wins the title, all she's gonna do is shake her ass with it. So we're teasing Lola Vice and Cora Jade. Bad blood there between them. I got to see some more Lola Vice. I would have loved to see her work for TNA. I would have liked her to go work in TNA a little bit, back and forth, have her cross the line and get some work and experience there. But right now, it looks like it's going to lead to that. We get a first match for the qualifier, for the North American Championship ladder match qualifier. We have Zarya with Zoruka versus Lash Legend with Jakara Lesson in her corner. Back and forth, good match. The battle of the powerhouse women. I was shocked that was the opener, but you need a banger to open up a tournament. I mean, it included some bear hugs, torture rack, Zarya staying resilient, countering a power bomb into that monster hurricanrana, followed by a pump kick. Released German suplex after dodging the pump kick, delivering a spear. Zarya hits an F5 clean victory over Lash Legend. Zarya finally gets booked strong. Could be her first title for Zarya. I think I love Lash. I was like, damn, you fed Lash to Zarya, but you want to get Zarya over and getting a victory over Lash Legend, because I still think Lash Legend is going to probably end up winning the TNA Knockouts title. Good job there. Good call for Zarya. At first Tuesday night, when I was looking into the corner of my eye, I didn't like it. But now that as I speak about it in business sense and creative-wise, Zarya needed to win, Chris.
I agree. I said it when she came out. I said Lash is going after the TNA titles, or the TNA Knockouts titles. She's not going to win this match. But it was so good that I'm even surprised that they fed Lash, to be honest.
And then we get a backstage with Yoshi. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go. No, you're good. I was just saying, I'm surprised that Lash was the one that took the loss from that. I was shocked.
They get it backstage with Yoshi Imamura, Wesley, Josh Briggs, Tyree, and Inigwe, and Tyson DuPont, where it's going to lead a match. Match was accepted. Briggs call out Wesley's toughness. I love what Wesley says. Man, I've been carrying this company on my back. You know, you know what? The 2.0 era, Wesley was one of the best North American champions.
He was the best North American champion, I thought.
Yes, I love Wesley's matches.
When I did watch 2.0, I was watching for Wesley. I didn't watch too much of it, but when I would click on it and I'd see what to do with the dreads with the time, I was like, oh, I'm hooked. I love this guy.
He's good. Wesley is good. He is really good. Nicest guy outside the ring, and of course his wife, excellent lady. So his wife would sit with us in the crowd and watch his matches. And a very nice lady. Marie was very nice lady, very, very awesome, humble, and of course, very nice lady. And of course, the whole Wesley, big fan of his. I've said it before when Dominic took the North American title. I said I need Wesley to go on the main roster and take the North American title from Dominic, so the world could see who is Wesley. And when he makes his main roster debut, back like don't be like, who the hell is this? No, this is the kid that beat Dominic for that title. That's me back then. I said it and I still say it. Wesley, once he gets onto the main roster, when good booking, he's going to be one of those guys that are like, oh damn, he's really good. He's that type for Wesley. I love what he's going back and forth in TNA and working with the Rascals and taking Tyree and Tyson DuPont under his wing. Great job there. All right, so we have an office segment. Kalani and Roxanne Perez backstage with the Ava, taking shots at one another, and it leads to Kalani and Roxanne Perez in a match later down the road in the night. But we get a segment with the Tony D'Angelo family, the family discussing the dark state. Each individual has dirt or information they explain. Chris, you watched it, watch along. By the way, you did a phenomenal job on Tuesday nights. Can't wait for you to host Tuesday. If you can host Tuesday, it's there again. Your thoughts on that breakdown? I saw the segment. I want to hear your thoughts when you saw it live and reacted.
Me and Chef saw this live, and we loved it. We didn't say a single word during it. They did such a good job because a lot of people, including me and myself, who are these guys? I'm not. See with with Kev and Terrence, they live in the Orlando area, so they're a little more familiar with some of these up and coming guys that are now being used on Evolve and all that stuff. So for me, for somebody out here, I want to know who these guys are. I want to know where these guys come from. Every member of the D'Angelo family, this is what I love. Every member had their moment. It wasn't just Stacks and Tony. Everyone had their folder. They each got to explain, this is so-and-so. He was an All-American at Duke University. Denied. He got into Harvard, but denied it because of his coach. Named specific coaches. I said, I talked to his coach. That was phenomenal. I didn't know all these guys are smart. These guys have degrees. These guys have Harvard degrees. They're all American athletes. Like, I didn't know any of that. Like, and now I want to see more of these guys. I want to hear these guys talk. I want to see these guys. Chef. I'm gonna go ahead. Chef thinks Stacks is he's a secret member to their family. If you look at the end, and now I'm gonna get to the end where like Stacks and D'Angelo's like, yo, Tony's like, I trusted you, and you gotta trust me. And Stacks is like, yeah, all right, I'll trust you. But it's like the camera shot at the end. It's like, Stacks is gonna right behind D'Angelo's back soon. So it was phenomenal. I mean, they really good production. It looked like a movie scene. It looked like one of those Italian Bob Moss movie scenes where they're trying to just figure out who their next opponents are. So I loved it. My favorite part of this, again, all American athletes. They explained everything specifically. Good job. I loved that. I freaking loved it, man.
I like what you said there, because when I saw it and you told me watch it, they didn't give me no spoilers. I watched it the next following day. I saw that. It's good job explaining all these wrestlers. Of course, I knew, like you said, we knew them from the Level Up days before Level Up got canceled, seeing them in their matches and so forth. And I understand why they're back together. They feel like they've been snubbed by the disappearing of Level Up and not respected and who fits that more? Where the underboss, he's doing all the underlingings for Tony D'Angelo while he's the family, the head of the family, taking all the credit, and he has to do all the heavy lifting. So I understand where you guys see that, especially if you watch a lot of mob movies or the way the way it goes from Goodfellas and all that. There's always someone who thinks could do a better job than the boss or the leader. So and they want to do their own coup. It wouldn't be surprised with that. It could be Stacks, because later that night we have an in-ring right after. In between, we're gonna skip the sandwich between Hank and Tank versus Miles Bourne and Taylor Knight in a good match. But of course, taking the advice of Pretty Deadly, Hank and Tank having an identity crisis of what they want to be as a tag team, because nothing seems to work. So that's what they're like
every week they're trying something a little different. That's
the story. That's the story with Hank and Tank. They're trying to find an identity as a tag team, and they're looking for advice, and they haven't found the advice, which is probably going to lead to a manager for them. They're probably going to find a manager who's going to help them, guide them, and put them in the right perspective, give them the right way, and that's what we'll find out what happens to Hank and Tank. We're here for it. North Dakota Catch wins by pin, but then the in-ring segment, and that's the crossover hour. Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans. Trick Williams comes to address the crowd, but of course the ruler comes out, interrupted by Javon Evans, got a little physical, but Dark State interrupts, and they come in and they clean house. But now they Trick Williams is in the center of all four of the Dark State, and we're like, ooh, is it going to happen? Are we going to find out that Trick Williams is the leader of this group? And to a surprising demise, they beat up on Trick Williams. They leave him hurt, and like, ooh, so that takes that theory out of the way, because maybe
it's
just
weird though.
Trick Williams.
It's weird though because they had. I'm sorry to cut you off, but if you notice that they had Trick right in the beginning, and they waited to get him last. So that's something too to keep an eye on. They had Trick right in front of it. They let Trick get out of the ring. They beat up Oba and Javon, and when Trick got back, they took their good ass time before, because everyone was like, oh, like me and Chef were sitting here like, oh, Chef, like they're, and he beats up Trick, and I'm like, why did they wait all that time for him specifically? So I'm keeping an eye on that.
Okay, and you know what? They could revisit. They played us, because they really didn't. They just power slammed. Yeah, he took one for the team. There you go. Good analogy on that one. So we'll see on that with that Dark State. Could it be Stacks? Could it be Trick Williams? Only time will tell. I think that's going to be revealed at either Stand and Deliver or the Go Home show of NXT. Yeah. But I will wait for that and Stand and Deliver there. We'll wait to see there. Of course, what I love about it, they're showing Andre Chase. He has a cracked rib from Ethan Page. He's being ushered out in a wheelchair by Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors, but we see the backstage go right by them because Jordan Grace and Jada Parker still going at it in backstage. They want a piece of each other. I love that backstage segment. That was great. And because there's heat. They want heat. These two ladies can't stand one another, and they're going after because they want NXT gold.
And I think it's good for Jada because Jada, I think she's great, but from some of her, I feel like she's had matches with people that are equal to her. I think she needs somebody like Jordan who's above her to make her on that level.
Makes sense. Perfect sense. Yes, that's your perfect sense on that one. And of course, we go to another backstage segment. The tag team champions. Axiom expresses his frustration of his partnership with Frazier, but then Swipe Right comes in and introduced themselves as a top 5 team in Evolve, and Frazier challenged them to a match, and Brad Baylor made a crude comment about Roxanne Perez. I don't know what was that all about, but
those guys look like little frat boys. That was funny. I was telling Chef, I was like, look at these little frat guys coming back.
I like that because you're sprinkling.
I like it.
Sprinkling in the Evolve, and they're young tag team. They're so young. You could tell that's the future of NXT tag team division. Swipe Right, and I think they're going to be. I think they got an it factor. And of course, that crude comment was Roxanne Perez passed by them, and she was a looker. And Swipe Right caught his attention because who's not going to see Roxanne Perez walk by you and your head is
there's some talent here. He was like, there's some talent back here.
There's some talent, and some cake as well. And that's pretty much what that was. So I gave you that, just what he meant with that crude comment. So for all those people that are watching us, yeah, that was a good one there. And then you get the match, because she was on her way to her match, her qualifying match with Kalani Jordan, Roxanne versus Kalani Jordan. And tonight, to me, the match of the night. I thought both ladies bought it. The counter of the Pot Rocks, former NXT World Champion, former inaugural North American Champion, going at it, trying to qualify for this. Kalani wins with the split-legged moonsault for the victory in a not too surprising but well-earned victory for Kalani Jordan over Roxanne Perez. We know Roxanne is either main roster bound. Why not put over Kalani Jordan in this match to go into that stand and deliver? And it sucks for her because, there's nothing for Roxanne to stand and deliver. You're probably right. Maybe she might have to take might have to be tapped out, not in this, but it doesn't hurt Roxanne Perez.
I don't think Roxanne Perez. It doesn't hurt at all. To me, I've been saying this though for a while. I feel like this with Mello, Braun, Trick eventually, and I feel the same way with Roxanne. Those are the guys who made this NXT. Not made the NXT, but those are your top stars. Those
Revived.
Top, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like those two, or those wrestlers, Roxanne in this example, I feel like her send-off should be at Stand. I feel like again, they could do it any other way, but to me, that's NXT's quote-unquote WrestleMania. And I feel like, if you look at the takeovers during the Black and Gold days, it was always a passover of the torch in the last match. Alistair and Ricochet did it with the War Raiders back in TakeOver in Brooklyn, and Undisputed Era has done it a couple times. So they during their big takeovers, when back in the day when like the big talent were getting ready to called up, especially if they were champions, they would put over the younger talent and they would get a big standing ovation at TakeOver. So I would like for this to get Roxanne too. Maybe sucks, lose, but she'll get a crazy ovation. Thank you for everything you've done at NXT. And I think that's always a good send off for your main talent like Trick, Mello, Roxanne in this example.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Maybe that's what Stephanie Vicaris picks.
Yeah,
piggyback.
You're right.
That's
right
there.
You're right.
You book right now. You talked me into the booking corner.
You're right.
I think that Stephanie's going to pick Roxanne. Why not go after two-time NXT World Champion?
And
she was the best here. She's the best here, and why not let me? And I've going to consider me the best. I beat Julia already twice. I haven't beat Roxanne. I don't think they have wrestled.
Roxanne, no. And then Roxanne, she beats Roxanne. She's like, I'm going up to the main roster. This is your moment now. And they, you pass the torch.
Send them off with that nice torch. Yeah, you talked me into that. I think it could be Roxanne Perez. You're probably correct. And why not? Why not? It won't hurt Roxy one bit at all. Losing to
it'll make Stephanie. It won't hurt Stephanie, and it'll make Julia look fucking good.
Yes, absolutely. Because you can always we could always revisit that. Julia and Stephanie, I love that. Good job there. Good job speaking that into existence, hopefully. Okay, let's go right here into some more. If we get the backstage with Stevie Turner and Ava, of course, saying it's not easy being a general manager, because she is the general manager in Tubi Evolve show. And, of course, Ava announces the triple threat match with Dark State, six-man. Dark State's 3 of the 4 members taking on Oba, Trick, Williams, Javon, Evans. So could they coexist? So this is classic Vince McMahon booking. Like, can that coexist? We'll put them in a 6-man tag to see. But hey, it's going to tell a story. Let's wait to see. Of course, the interview with Ricky Saint. Saint says Spears attacked him last week, only feud him. He promised to win that North American title and become the fastest ever champion than Spears ever did. So, but we all know who was the quickest to win a championship is Ethan, all legal Ethan Page. Yeah, they didn't mention him, but we all know. But he says Spears, but we'll let him go there. Of course, we'll go. Of course, next week will be Jada Parker and Jordan Grace in a stand and deliver qualifier. So that's another one announced. We go to the main event: Sean Spears and the Culling versus Ricky Saints for the North American title. I mean, this was a hot start. Saints comes out with a hot suicide dive and a strike. Spears regains control by using his ring steps, targeting Saints. I love when Ricky Saints walks instead of walking the rope, he walked the thing. I know he saw a fade That's the young lady, the older lady with the glasses that he gave a kiss on the forehead. Her name is Faith. Give Faith her kiss on the forehead. The other lady that was with her, and then the other lady at the end, and he was being a heartthrob, and he was doing his Ricky Saints thing.
The ladies loved it too. They're like,
personality. Yeah, I gotta give kudos to the NXT ladies. The fans, they went with the program. They melted for Ricky Saints. I loved it. Kudos, ladies. Thank you for being. That's a way of being part of the program without marking. You went along with it. Great job. Thank you, ladies. That made the television special. Made it feel special. Feel that moment. And then of course, but here's the thing that started the match, and it ended it with Tony Fumble chants from the NXT crowd. I'm not giving the result yet, but I'm going to go right it. It was a Death Valley driver taking out the Culling, and then he hits a spear and the Rochambeau to capture the title. Ricky Saints is your new North American champion on Shawn Spears. Your thoughts?
I'm a little surprised. I'm not going to lie. Shawn Spears just won the title. I wasn't too happy about it. I love Ricky Starks. I love my AEW guys. Okay. I'm happy for them coming in here. I'm surprised that they gave Ricky Saints the title. I don't know. I don't like to be this guy because I'm an AEW fan, so you guys might think I'm being but is it why Ethan Page, Spears, I wonder what they're doing here with all these AEW guys winning the NXT North American title. But it was a great match. These guys, they know each other so well from AEW. They had classics. I knew it was going to be a good match. I was kind of seeing what the story was going to tell. And I thought they were going to maybe run it back. But, I mean, they still will. But I thought they were going to run it back with, Ricky Saints chasing the title instead of just here. Tony Fumble chants, I can agree to disagree. I can agree with now. Tony shouldn't have let him go. Any of them go, but Tony Fumble, those guys, all three of them, I wouldn't say, okay, Ethan Page, I felt that. But Spears and Ricky, I don't think they did so much for AEW. Whether you guys, especially in those early days with Spears and MJF kind of carrying that pandemic era. Ricky Starks was in big programs. It was stuff out of the people he was getting scheduled programs with, stuff out of control. Punk, Copeland, I don't know what happened there, but those two have done great for AEW. And I think from what they've done, I wish them the best in NXT. And it looks like they're going to have really, really good careers. So I'm excited. I'm surprised that Ricky Saints is champion right away. I will be honest. I thought they're going to milk it. I would have him chasing it at a big match as Stan delivered. But it's not bad. I don't hate it.
I'm going to say this. Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, Lexus King,
I forgot about him.
Shawn Spears, they all have great opportunities here in the WWE. They're making the best of their opportunities because they're putting them in a situation to succeed and they're making it work. Or the fumbling part is they weren't given the right opportunities because you kept bringing in ex-WWE wrestlers. But you can't throw rocks if you live in a glass house, because what does that say about the men in NXT that you're taking opportunities away from them? I could say even though the men's division really wasn't that strongly, the one that suffers out of all of these, be honest with you, of these AEW new signings is a Wesley not being part of the world title picture, because he takes it and now he's back. He's pushed back a little bit. Guys, and I don't think you're going to say, oh, poor Dante Chen. No disrespect. I love Dante. Eddie Thorpe. But he did get some opportunities, though. Eddie Thorpe has gotten opportunities, but never captured.
He got a lot of opportunities.
But he didn't capture the goal. He didn't pull the trigger.
He should be where Ricky Saints is, man. Eddie Storch should be where Ricky Saints is.
You know what? I'm gonna agree with you on that. I'm gonna agree with you on that.
Should be in the position Ricky Starks is right now. And I love Ricky Starks, but Eddie Thorpe has put in countless months and years in the company, having a really good storyline where he swerved the entire NXT nation with signing that contract again. I mean, you did nothing with following up with that.
But let me ask you this.
Trick. He had a really good, but I want him to be in the spot where he sucks. And the same, like,
let me ask you this: does he sell tickets? But does Eddie Thorpe? Will Eddie Thorpe sell you tickets, or will Ricky Saints sell you tickets?
Ricky Saints will. Ricky Saints will. That's unfortunate.
It's still business, pal. At the end of the day, it's still money. Heather, I got this. I got this for Heather. Hold on. Let me give this Heather. Here is Ricky Saints walking the road.
He has a lot of charisma right now. He's looking really, really good. But can he sustain it? That's the question.
And that's there was a little 10-second clips, audio and visual by WWE Network on NXT on the CW. Want to give them credit and of course for that video for them. And that was the Ricky Saints clip there. Yes, the kiss on the forehead. That was pretty cool by Ricky Saints. I thought that, to me, that sounds superstar. Okay. It's about that, selling the tickets. That's what it was. That's all about selling the tickets.
I'm always the guy that's going to look at wrestling as a business first. That's why I always say it's for best for business. But as a fan, I'm not right now.
As a fan, Eddie Thorpe would have. Yeah, I agree.
That's what's hurting it. I agree.
It's like in a job. You're working your butt off for a long time, and then you bring a new person in, and they make you more money. They get the promotion. Like, damn, I've been here for a while, and I don't even get a chance. I've been here when things were tough, and I went in and put up with all the nonsense. But meanwhile, you bring someone from the outside, making more money, and becomes a supervisor, and you didn't even consider me. And that's how, and that's what I can understand that, but they don't know that the business aspect, when you bring this person in, has an innovation of growing, or he has contracts that he could bring, whatever line of work that you work in. I'm trying to make that more realistic to real life, but of course this is wrestling, but they still have to treat it like a real life business. If it makes sense there. So we got that NXT there. Tony, so we talked about that Tony fumble with NXT. Let's go into a great build, the go away show for All Elite Wrestling, Dynamite, because Dynasty is this Sunday, where Chris is going to be in the Temple area. If you want to reach out to Chris on X, if you want to meet up and buy him a beer, buy him a drink, he's willing to contribute to the funds, into the liver funds, and make sure that he,
don't that much, but I'll make an exception for Dynasty weekend.
Or buy him a potato skins or an appetizer, that was something along those lines, or pick up his bill or something. But he'll be in Temple around some bar. Read up with him, and you see his handles there on X. We go into Dynamite from Peoria, Illinois. But first thing we get announced that Jay White has been pulled from the 2025 Owen Hart Cup. Your thoughts?
Good.
Okay.
Good. He would have got his ass kicked by Hangman. I'm not good that he's hurt. I want to get that clear. I don't wish injury even on my most hated wrestlers. That's not at all what I'm saying. It's good. Unfortunate that he's hurt. Good that he doesn't have to get squashed by Hangman. That's what's good. That's what was going to happen. He was going to get his ass kicked to Hangman. So I'm not mad about it. Good. Get well soon, Jay White. But this was the best that could have happened to you, brother. You were going to lose first round to Hangman for nothing.
I'm going to get the brackets in a moment. Do you want me to do the brackets
yesterday?
Do you want me to do the brackets now, or do you want to see but that show people that are watching this, or do you want us to go through the show and then show the bracket afterwards? Because it's going to reveal who won and all. No? Oh, I know they haven't had any matches. All right, here we go. Let's go with the bracket.
It's a bracket reveal.
Right. So let's go with the brackets. I've got the men and women. Let's go with here's the men's first, because the men and women are together. You're gonna have Will Ospreay, Kevin Knight, Brody King, Kotoshi Kateshna, Mark Briscoe, Kyle Fletcher, Hangman, and of course Tony does this every damn tournament. A wild card. Let's go with the names here. The first round matchup. Kevin Knight gets inserted into this title matchup. Kevin Knight is the newcomer signed to your company. You're putting him in a tournament for your biggest prize possession and your biggest show of the company. Does he deserve it, or do I'd rather see MJF in this tournament rather than Kevin Knight? No disrespect.
Nope, I can agree 100%. I I actually have high hopes for Kevin Knight. He impressed me in that tag team match, but yeah, why would you have this guy just get squashed by Ospreay? I mean, they announced the match, that qualifying match is happening tomorrow, but you're kind of killing this kid already. And he's not going to be able to keep up with Will Ospreay in that damn
Let
ring.
me put this. We'll talk over this here. We'll talk over this. Go ahead.
He's not going to be able to keep up with Will Ospreay in that damn ring. I'm sorry. Will Ospreay is going to demolish him. Takeshita is going to beat Brody King. Kyle Fletcher is going to beat Mark Briscoe. Hangman's still going to beat whoever the wild card is. And then Hangman's going to win. Ospreay is going to win. Boom. That's your Owen Hart tournament.
But here's the one thing I'm going to say, Chris. I understand. I've been saying all morning predictability is, and it's going to happen. How do you get there? But also, you want to also be intriguing. What has Mark Briscoe done in his wrestling singles career to validate wrestling for this tournament to try to win this title? Where you have a former wrestler who won this tournament before, not in. Where's Okada? Where's Okada? Why isn't Okada not available in this tournament?
Where's Adam Cole? He won the tournament 2 years ago.
Right. Adam Cole. That's enough. I was going to get to him. Adam Cole. Brody King just lost a couple days ago. Why? And it's not about win. The company that says win loss. They emphasize on win loss. Am I correct? Why not have them? He's a former champion, a former this, that. Okada, fixed free agent signing. Then you really make some juice in this Owen Hart tournament, especially when you have this other tournament that just happened. Change it up a little bit. And, that's all. And Kushida and Kevin Knight doesn't mean that he's not worthy of being pushed in All Elite Wrestling. We're not saying he should be there as a jobber. No, Kevin Knight should be brought up slowly, not in this tournament where your first impression, he lost. It doesn't.
He's not overworked. He's going to get overworked. Like, a lot of people, he has kind of like that Will Ospreay. Yeah, it is. Heather is right. It's because Adam Cole.
Well, but hold on a second. But I'm going to say this: are all these matches taking place on Dynasty? All these qualifiers?
Yeah. Only the Ospreay match.
Okay, so can Adam Cole have that match Wednesday and have this match with Garcia on the pay-per-view? Just because he's doing that doesn't mean he should be in this tournament. If he won the tournament before, those are my you want to showcase your best of the best, especially when you're trying to honor Owen Hart. And in the wild card, it's going to be either Josh Alexander, plain and simple, who's going to come in, and then you really.
They're doing the Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe match as well.
Here we go. I got the card here. Let's turn this here. I got the card here. I wanted we're a little bit all over, a little bit of AEW, but it has to do with the tournament. Yes, we got the TBS title with Adam Cole and Danny Garcia. We got that. But for qualifier, is Kevin Knight. It's going to take on Will Hairspray, and that's it. I don't see. Well, we have to update this because
Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe is the next one. Is it happening?
Okay. All right. So let me find the updated one. Possibilities, but no, they rotate guys every year. Cole already won the cup once. All right. So they're going to bring guys in and out for the tournament. All right. So we'll see how they. I mean,
he brought Okada again for the Intercontinental Classic. They brought last year's winner for it again this year. And they would have done it with Eddie Kingston. So I don't understand. The way Tony likes to book these tournaments are a little weird. But no, I think because Kev, this is what I think is gonna happen. No matter who the wild card is, when we saw the face-to-face that we saw between Swerve and Hangman, I have a dumb feeling in my brain that Hangman's winning the entire tournament, so Swerve wins the AEW title and they have their part 3. That's what I think is gonna happen. I know everyone's on, as you call it, Hairspray beating Swerve at All In. I think we're gonna get Swerve and Hangman part 3. I think this is the way Hangman. I think it's Swerve. If Swerve wins, if Hangman wins, no. Hangman's match isn't tomorrow. So if Swerve wins the match tomorrow against Moxley, to me, I think Hangman Adam Page is winning the whole thing because we saw their face-to-face. I think we're getting a part 3. This is the way they can do the part 3. This is just me. Again, there's so many ways they're going to do it with this. Ospreay could obviously be the one. But just by looking at the bracket and looking at what took place on Dynamite Wednesday and looking at this card, if Swerve Strickland beats John Moxley, my prediction is Adam Page will win the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, and they're running it back at all.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes there, because here's the updated card, hopefully, for now. And, in a couple hours, Tony will add another 6 matches to this card to make it, he wants to reach that 17-match plateau that he does each and every pay-per-view. Right now, we're looking at only 2 Owen Hart tournament with Briscoe and Fletcher. And, of course, we talked about the one we just mentioned.
Can we talk about the women?
We'll go to the women right now. We'll go to the women because
I have a problem with that one. I have a bigger problem more.
I'm with you as well with the women. You got Jamie Hayter taking on Billy Starks. What has Billy Starks done besides losing to Mercedes Moné in the AEW Dynamite roster, not Ring of Honor, to earn a spot at the Owen Hart tournament as well? When you have other like Willow Nightingale, which don't tell me she's busy with a Marina Shafir.
She's probably gonna have Marina Shafir because Moxley beat the shit out of her at the end of the. That was funny. That was funny. But Moxley beat her up at the end of the match, and I think her and Marina are gonna have a one-on-one match. Is whether it's a pre-show. Is that a
0-hour match that he's gonna announce in about 20 minutes?
Yep. He's gonna announce that. That's a 0-hour match that I predict's gonna announce at Collision.
And let me go back. I'm going to be back and forth with Dynasty. Where is MJF in this card?
He's not in this card. People speculate that he might have something to do with the Hart Syndicate match because maybe he's interfere. I don't know. But MJF right now, he's been cutting promos with the Hart Syndicate, kind of like MVP kind of wants him in, but it's kind of like Shelton and Bobby don't trust him.
Why start? You brought these guys in. Why? And I know you need storylines, but why are you teasing a dissension with breaking up MVP away from the Hurt Syndicate? What benefit does that do?
That's kind of what it is, because Bobby Lashley's kind of going out there like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, don't, like, we're not aligning ourselves with MJF. Like, you can't trust him. Like, but it's with MJF. He kind of wants to be a part of the group. He wants to be a part of the group of the Hart Syndicate.
Yes.
Kind of has the Hart Syndicate, like, specifically
has reservations.
They don't exactly. They don't think it's a good idea. So I'm not sure where this is going to go at all. I'll be honest. I don't know where the story's going because with, like, why does Hangman want to be a part of or MJF want to be a part of a fucking package? Does he just want MVP? I don't know. That I don't understand. But the women's on card for why does Mercedes Moné have to be in everything? Why did she have to beat everybody? She's a TBS champion.
But you know what? She's the best. If you're the best champion, the best winner, your Mercedes in this tournament, you could put an argument for her in it and not in it. She's the best wrestler for the women right now. If she's in this tournament, another title to come to collect, let her get if that's the case. But
losing the match though, that's the problem. Like, she's not like. This is why it's not about her winning championships. It's about her never losing matches. It's not like what nobody is going to gain anything. She's going to fight Athena in the second round and she's going to lose. Everyone wants this match at All In. This is the All In match everybody wants. And this is the dream match all the AEW sickos want is Athena versus Mercedes. And they're going to give it to you in the second round for not even a freaking title match. And Mercedes is going to squash her. And with Thunder Rosa and Chris Statlander, what is Thunder Rosa? What is she competing for? I mean, I don't mind it because she's somebody who's should have had an AEW women's rematch. Maybe this is kind of her way to get back in the mix. Exactly. I don't have much of a problem with that.
You just answered the question.
No, that's why I said I take it back. I don't have a problem with that. I take that back. The issue I have is the Mercedes and Athena. I don't know why you should have done them. You should have had on separate brackets so they could fight in the end or something. I don't know. And they're not even doing a wild card for the women, which is kind of, they usually like to do that too. So
because there's no new women coming to the AEW right now. Mina isn't going to be. I mean, and wouldn't that be a surprise? We already seen her. With her cleavage all over Dynamite. It's not a wild card. It's not a surprise. It's not a newcomer for Tony Khan. That's just telling you. That's just telling the marks or the sickos that a newcomers coming to the company, wild card. That's all it is. The women, here's the women. I don't have no problem with Julia Hart, Mercedes, and this is kind of Julia Hart, the former TBS champion, taking on Mercedes, where they're gonna put on a hell of a match. I think Julia's match availability is gonna go to another level. She's gonna go over without not going over against Mercedes, and that's only gonna help Julia Hart going forward. For me, that's the match. That's gonna be actually the better match of the whole tournament, believe it or not. Just by Mercedes in ring and help in that story they're going to tell with Julia. When they get to the second round, and again, I don't know, I'm questioning why Harmony Cameron is in this tournament as well. She lost to Mercedes, and she shouldn't, and there's not a win-loss record at all that's helping her. She shouldn't be in this tournament, personally. Mariah May should have been here. I would have liked to seen Athena taking on Mariah May. And if Mariah May loses, then Athena moves on. You're like, oh damn, she just beat the former AEW World Champion, and now she's taking on a bigger boss in Mercedes. Where you're looking at a Mortal Kombat, when you climb that, when you play Mortal Kombat, you start at the bottom with Jax, and then you start moving up to Goro, all the way to get to Goro before the final boss. That's what I would like to see. Athena, damn, I beat this world champion, and if Athena falls short. Or by a way where Mercedes has to use the ropes to get the pin, and Athena feels like she was shortchanged, you could revisit that at All In because she's obsessed on trying to get back at Mercedes. Or if they're in the finals, somewhere, somehow, a time limit draw, a count out, whatever, where there is no winner in that side of the bracket, vice versa, or something along the line. But you're asking a lot for creative to come up with something intriguing where it'll make sense. But we'll see how that goes. I think Harley Cameron didn't deserve it. I didn't think Billy Starks deserved being in this tournament neither. Everyone else, I have no issues. I would have liked to see, this is where a wild card of a Britt Breaker come in, and what she could say, I won this tournament before, and you know what? I'm going to win it again. I may be, and that would be like, oh, wow, Britt. Even if she's on that for Billy Starks against Jamie Hayter, there's still history there as well. You could have done that. Where even if Britt makes a one-and-done appearance and Jamie wins and moves on. You could have done easy stuff like that. Put that there. I know Willow's hurt. I mentioned Willow. Willow's injured. She's not there on right now. Or even if you don't want to do Mariah May versus Athena, Serena Deeb, because she's a professor. Boy, Serena prepared me to take on Mercedes Moné because she stretched me. She put me on the brink. And you know what? If I went and I lasted 20 minutes with Serena Deeb, the professor, you know what? I'm ready for you, Mercedes. Now you have a story, intriguing build for Athena and Mercedes to wrestle because Serena Deeb got her prepared. Isn't she the professor? Isn't that her nickname? She preparing on Athena to say, you know what? I know I belong because I went toe-to-toe with Serena Deeb and I'm ready to go for you. That's why I say Mariah Ray, I'm a former world champion. But okay, if Mariah Ray is having contract disputes or is not going to be on television for a while for All Elite Wrestling while that negotiation takes place, Serena Deeb would have been a perfect person to put in there. Where's Deonna Purrazzo? Deonna Purrazzo is your Ring of Honor world champion for many years, and she came in with a lot of glit and glamour to the company as a free agent. Why is she not in the tournament? What's the excuse for she's not injured? Deonna Purrazzo is not injured. She is not injured at all one bit. She's a hell of a wrestler. She should have been there instead of Billy Starks. You could have got that. Let me get that. You could have got her in there instead of Billy Starks. I understand Thunder. I understand Chris Statlander. But, Harley and Billy should not be in this tournament. It should have been either Deonna Purrazzo or the other ladies that I told you about. Or there. Again, they don't have to book this for my liking. I'm not saying because I don't watch the product, first and foremost. I'm not a fan of the product. I don't watch the product. But I want to make it make sense where you guys that enjoy this will say, you know what? That's a good valid point. Because now you could tell stories without telling a story just by matches. You guys want great matches? Here's a match. You have a Serena Deeb, great match because she's going to stretch and push Athena to the brink. Harley is not going to put that technical big-time classic match with Athena. It's going to be puppets and shenanigans. Unless the Mercedes come out and help Harley win because you saw something teased on Saturday where Harley brought back the puppets with Mercedes, and now it's being mentioned online that it was Mercedes who gave the idea for Harley Cameron to use the puppets. I take it for what you want to think of, a grain of salt there. we'll see. We'll get some great stuff here. Will Ospreay, Kevin Knight versus Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. That was a match.
That was a good tag team match.
All right.
I enjoyed it.
Brody King versus Lance Archer. Now they want you to give a shit about Brody King because he beat Lance Archer.
He beat Lance Archer. Every time I look at Lance Archer, no disrespect, I think of the team being increased.
And then, but he lost to Kyle Fletcher the week before, who's much smaller than both.
He did lose to Kyle Fletcher the week before.
I mean,
yeah.
This is the issue.
Going to go over in the Owen Hart Cup first round too. So,
Cope versus Khalil Castagnoli.
That was an awful main event. Why was that the main event?
I mean,
that was awful. That was horrible. That was one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
Wow. I didn't see it. I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to try.
One of the worst matches in terms of physicality and graphs and moves. It just was boring. The crowd, that crowd did not give a shit about that main event.
Wow. That sucks. That sucks because Adam Copeland, when you think of him, you think of Edge, you think of all that stuff all that nostalgia, all that great stuff he did in WWE. And
they care about Edge. They don't care. They didn't care about anything that was going inside that ring though. When Edge came out, they did the on this day. They stopped that during the match.
So wow.
I could hear a pin drop during the match.
I feel bad for him. He doesn't deserve that to go out in his career that way. But hey, you know what? He was supposed to, he made a choice, and he was supposed to get these dream matches that it's been nothing but nightmares for Cole.
Yeah, now he wants to finish his career as a tag team champion with Christian after he just told him to go after himself months later.
I mean, that's all storyline related. They're good friends. Here's the one thing that's very intriguing. Here's intriguing that the IWC is going bananas with, or Dash Hardwood apologized to Cash Wheeler, and he gives the official money to Paul Turner. Everyone says, why are you giving the money to the referee? You're like you're buying the referee. I said this on Good Morning Wrestling when I hosted for Samuel Lyons on Friday. I could see where instead of everyone thinks that Dax is going to turn on Cash and the heel turn, I think it's going to be Cope who's going to turn on them, because Cope is going to remember being beat up by the Judgment Day. People turn on him first, and Dominic kicking him in the nuts and so forth. I could see where Cope turns on both of them, and I could see kind of a New Day type of deal. Instead of a reversal where the New Day turn both heel, I think Cope turns both heel on them, and that's going to reunite Dak and Hardwood. You know what? We got a common enemy with this damn Cope. He was the snake that's trying to put a wedge between us as a tag team. We're the best tag team in the world, according to FTR. And we let the snake Cope come in and join us, and he tried to put a wedge between us. Now they're going to foment their relationship even stronger, and let's go beat the crap out of Cope. Cope, find anyone to team up with you, because we're coming for you, Cope. And that's when Christian Edge comes together, or Cope and Edge comes together as heels, and they're off in their terror run, and we're off and running to the races. I think that's the way of doing that with them. Let's see how that goes. In that trios match, well, let's go right into Dynasty. Dynasty. Well, we'll talk about that. Let's go with that trios, Death Riders versus FTR, rated FTR. I can see where Cope turns on them. I can see where Paul Turner be the referee to come in after a ref bump, 1, 2, 3, and I can see Death Riders retaining their trios title. I started with that match first. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I can agree. I think there will be some type of shenanigans with the Adam Copeland and FTR situation. I think something gets messy in there, and then one of the guys from Death Riders takes the pin. I can agree with that, yeah, but that could go either way. I'll be honest, that could go either way. It could nothing could happen, and they win it, and that could go either way.
I don't see the Death Riders losing that trios tag team title.
I don't
see it. What's going on? How are you, Kelly? How are you doing? Thank you for joining us, Carly. Appreciate you. How are you today? Of course, we'll go into the qualifier. Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe. Although Mark Briscoe is going to put a hell of a match with his redneck kung fu, but I still see Kyle Fletcher getting the victory, advancing. I don't know. My question is, how long of a match? How long are they going to go to around the block? Are they going to take the long route, or they're going to take the short route there?
I hope the short route. But knowing how much Tony likes these guys, it might give him some time. But this match should be a short match with Kyle Fletcher going over. Probably like 10 minutes.
It's going to be a good match. Look, yesterday's match with, well, we'll get to it in a minute. Well, I'll put a pin on that one. I don't want to jump all over the place. Let's go to the next one with Mercedes versus Julia Hart for that qualifier. I think this is going to be one of Julia Hart's best matches. I think Julia Hart is going to follow Mercedes' lead as her as a ring general. She's going to go over without going over. It's going to be a real good because Mercedes doesn't have to do heavy lifting with an opponent who's bigger than her. So she'll be able to make her moves. The finishers are going to look better on her backpack finish on Julia. The false finish back and forth. I think it's going to look really good for Julia. She's going to go over without going over. Mercedes advances, in my opinion. I don't know if you want to.
Nope, I don't want to. That's perfect.
All right, let's go. Ospreay versus Kevin Knight. I think we're going to get a lot of great wrestling spots. Real good moments. Kevin Knight, one of those top up-and-coming wrestlers that the world's going to know about. People know if you watch TNA, you watch him with Kushida, the Time Machine group as a tag team, his New Japan run. We know who Kevin Knight. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, but I think now the casuals or the non-folks that watch just AEW are going to know who Kevin Knight is, going to come out and impress. I think Will Ospreay and Kevin Knight, I think Ospreay wins. I don't see Kevin Knight winning. Yep. Although you said Kevin Knight earlier, but did you change your mind? You still think because you did call it upset.
Oh no, I said this could no, let me rephrase. I think Will Ospreay is going to win.
Okay.
I think Will Ospreay is going to win, but if there could be a match in this tournament that could be an upset, this is the one.
All right. You did say that, so you did mention that. Let's go to the tag team title match. The Hurt Syndicate. I don't know who's going to beat these folks. They look so unbeatable, but you got Big Bill and Brian Keys.
Yeah, Hurt Syndicate with MJF coming out. I think MJF is going to come out. Something's going to happen with him, but don't know.
But let me ask that: if MJF comes in and hits Big Bill in the nuts and knocks him, and then does that make Hurt Syndicate look weaker because they had to get MJF's help?
Hurt Syndicate because they're so all about they're the best. We hurt people, but
right.
They have MJF come out.
So that you know what? If that happens, Chris, sorry to I don't think it hurt the Hurt Syndicate. You're telling a story.
Yeah.
For a company that says they don't tell stories, but MJF coming in and the story is Bobby Lashley. I told you I don't want your interference. You make us look weak, and that's the story that comes out of that match. And you got storytelling with the match with the Hurt Syndicate and MJF.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes there. In a 0 hour, I guess it's a 0 hour match. Or I don't know if it's a main card. It looks like a main card. Chris Jericho versus Bandito.
That's a main card.
It's a main card, a Ring of Honor world title. So they're going to put the Ring of Honor title for Mask. So it's Chris Jericho. So after Sunday night, are we going to be blessed enough to Chris Jericho now is going to cover that ugly face with a mask?
I think Bandito gets the win here. I don't know. I think. I don't see Bandito unmasking himself, although Jericho's kind of done that already, but I don't see him just willingly doing it. It's kind of like luchador tradition, but knowing Jericho and knowing how there could be multiple things. Jericho likes to go overbook himself, but if they want to make Ring of Honor something, at least try to. I don't think Jericho as your champion is a bad thing, especially when he's, in my opinion, I've said this from the beginning. There's no AEW Dynamite. There's no all this without Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is the reason why they have TV deals. Chris Jericho is the reason why, this company got off. So if they want Ring of Honor to be legit and maybe get them a little more exposure on TV possibility, you keep Jericho as your champion. But if you don't want to do anything with it, you have Bandito just take. I don't know. This is a close call. I'm gonna stick with Bandito.
I think Bandito wins this because it got personal. Chris Jericho attacked his brother. He attacked Gravity, took his mask, embarrassed him in front of his mom and sister, family. And the same thing we talked about Gunther and Jey Uso, that emotional investment of, regardless of the fact if you thought it was Bill done right or not right, or you cared or not care, but that story is there with that emotional investment. And I think Bandito has something to fight for, and I think it's going to need that kind of emotion if he wants to be a wrestler of Chris Jericho caliber, and that's there. So I think Bandito does come up victorious and he becomes the new Ring of Honor World Champion. Let's go on to Triple Threat. This one is going to create Ricochet, Kenny Omega, and Speedball Mike Bailey. Now, Speedball Mike Bailey's third match with the company in this Triple Threat match with Kenny Omega and Ricochet. No rules. There's no disqualifications because it's a triple threat match. Although I don't know if AEW implements that. I don't know because they kind of have their own sets of rules from normal WWE conditioning that I have. But my point is, someone's going to have to take the pin here. Could it be Ricochet? But then, they blocked themselves in a booking corner, and it's a tough one because it's a no-win for whoever wins. Kenny squashes. Oh, Speedball just got to the company. You giving Caden to give him a title. Ricochet because he just signed, and you don't want to say you fumbled him. So it's a no-win situation here. But I want to see they're going to tell a freaking banger of a story of a match with these three guys.
I think this is going to be the match of the night. This is the match I'm looking forward to the most. It includes three guys who kind of have the same style, and I'm big on Kenny Omega. Shout out Mike Speedball Bailey. He's just like myself, black belt in Taekwondo. And Ricochet, they all have the same style. I'm really, really, really looking forward to this match, but I think Kenny Omega retains.
Okay.
I think he's going to bring that title into All In or All In. And if he doesn't, if he loses this match, I think he's going to get some way, somehow, whether he wins or loses, to get him into the mix with Okada for All In. But I think, because Okada's Continental Champion, so it's a little tough to predict. Because I'm kind of thinking a little bit ahead toward their All In show. But right now, I this is my match of the night personally, and I think Kenny Omega's going to retain.
All right. And we'll go right into the women's All Elite Wrestling Women's World Title, Toni Storm versus Megan Bayne. This is the one thing here. I know everyone thinks if Megan Bayne loses where she goes, back to the bottom of the line, that's terrible for Toni Storm. She can't lose this title. Personally, I'm going to put this here. I hope Megan Bayne wins with the help of Penelope Ford helping her get the victory.
Yeah.
And then in Double or Nothing, have that rematch where Penelope Ford turns on Megan Bayne. A little jealousy where you leave now Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford for all in, and Toni Storm regains her title back. It's okay because it still books Megan Bayne as strong. You don't crap on her, and you have story, Chris.
The reason why so first off, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, I want to see that match because they both
Joey Janela.
Yeah. Because of Joey Janela, that'd be funny as shit. No, but I think Joey Janela, he's got to be watching this match like, oh, my ex and my. But
Penelope Ford is happy with Kip Sabian, so
yeah. I'm just trolling. I'm trolling. When I bring that up, guys, I'm trolling. But no, I agree. I want Megan Bayne to win. She has a phenomenal look. I've seen some of her stuff on GCW with her boyfriend Joey Janela. They did some good stuff. I won't lie. She's had matches against Joey Janela, and she has had good with men. So I'm big on Megan Bayne. I think she has a great look.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if Toni, Toni's kind of their. To me, I don't like the timeless gimmick. I think it's rotten, but she's the best wrestler in that gimmick. She's better than Mercedes, in my opinion. And I think if you don't have a clear direction for Megan Bayne, you keep the title on Toni Storm. And it sucks because, again, Megan Bayne has the looks. I think she's great in the ring, and she could be that dominant big heel that's like, you got to get past me. Like, she's big, like, tall-wise. And that I could see this being a good thing for her, but I unfortunately feel like they don't have any clear direct. They're not going to have anything for her. So that's why I think Toni's going to win. But I hope Megan Bayne upsets us.
We'll see that. I just hope that it's Penelope Ford that helps her win that title, not Thunder Rosa comes out and turns heel. I hope. Please don't make Thunder Rosa be the reason to come out there and turn on Toni Storm. And because I kind of want to be Penelope because you got Penelope turn on Megan later. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And again, I know I'm joking. When I bring up Joey Janela, I'm joking. But let's
No, we
be
don't.
honest, there probably is some real life animosity to each other. Let them. They could have a good feud. They're professional. They're probably professionals, but there probably could. You don't have to say that. You don't have to even mention it, but you could. I feel like there is some backstage, like, we're working with each other. We're not girls. We're not friends. I think they could use their, not bring the real life bullshit into the promos, but they could bring some of that real life animosity and make something of it, if that makes sense. That's just my speculation. I'm not saying here they have. I'm not sitting here telling you guys that they have backstage beef. I don't know. It's just, when you're with somebody when you're tagging with somebody's ex-boyfriend who they're with for 4 years, I don't know. Again, I'm not saying anything. I'm leaving the personal shit, but they could build that into a good feud. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I think we're like, again, I'm not going to put too much that they dislike or hate or have animosity, because, again, Penelope Report is engaged to Kip Sabian, and she just, and I hate to say this, forgive me, she just had a miscarriage a few months ago of his child. So I don't think Joey Janela is even thinking about her. I don't think she even thinks about Joey Janela. That's, when you I don't even, so I'm gonna move on from that, because I don't even think she even gives a crap about Joey. If she was able to,
Joey, it's not about Joey.
They couldn't
bring anything to him about it. It's not about Joey.
That they don't get along in the backstage, I think it's nonsense. I think she couldn't even give a flying hoops for in Penelope Ford. I'm saying, but let's go into the AEW World Title matchup that's probably going to happen at 1:00 in the morning. If you might, as soon as that match is over, you could go right into Good Morning Wrestling with Samuel Lyons, because they probably be coming on the same time that after the media scrum is over, or after JD from New York is on, you could go right into Good Morning Wrestling, because that's how long this card is going to go. But AEW World Title, Jon Moxley versus Swerve Strickland. This is one that everybody wants. I think 90% of AEW fans are behind the Swerve Strickland train. Maybe there's a 10% fans that want Jon Moxley to win. I am part of the 10%. I think Jon Moxley retains. I think the reason why, not because Jon Moxley's Death Rider thing is kicking ass or is awesome. I don't think Swerve deserves to be another transitional champion, because everybody's saying All In, Hangman Page should win it, or Will Ospreay should win it. No one says Swerve Strickland should retain it All In and continues his have a lengthy title run. So do you really want to make Swerve Strickland your two-time transitional champion, especially where the AEW marks are pointing the fingers at race baiting when it comes to the WWE and the way they book their black talent? So you're okay with Swerve being transitioned?
I'm not feeding into that bullshit. I think Swerve Strickland's gonna win and go into All In fight Hangman. I don't think he's gonna be
and he's going to beat Hangman in All In.
I didn't say beat Hangman.
That's transition if he loses.
I mean, there's still a Double or Nothing before All In. There's still pay-per-views before All In.
Fair one. Well, then when is the Forbidden Door?
That is in the summer. That's in August.
Is that in between in August or in June?
That's All In.
They usually do it in June, unless if he's changing the sequence, the order of the pay-per-views. Now, if there's two pay-per-views, I'll take that back. I'll take that back from him not being a transitional champion.
Forbidden Door will be August this year.
Okay, so no,
because
here's
is it?
Oh, it's in July. Oh no, in May.
That's what I'm catering to, because to me, I'm an original. I don't fuck All In. Double or Nothing's my WrestleMania. I don't care what they say.
Fair.
Double or Nothing is always always been the main show for AEW until All In.
Because that's the reason why I say I don't want Swerve to be a transitional. He deserves better than being a transitional champion.
He does, absolutely.
I think Swerve should be a franchise. He's a franchise wrestler, a franchise brand for All Elite Wrestling. And to have a short title run, it isn't fair for his work.
I'm not. It's not fair, but I'm not buying into the black thing either, because they put the title on this guy when he was hot, and you know he had it. He's had it. He wasn't a transitional champion when he first got it. Maybe he should have got it a little sooner, but I think he had a good first title.
You were rushing to take it off of him to give it to Bryan Danielson. You knew who
that I will admit that pissed me off. That I will admit that pissed me off.
He didn't deserve that.
For Danielson's, he basically did it for Danielson to have his moment with his family. That pissed me off. I will admit that pissed me off. But I think they can make it right. I want them to make it right here. Have him go in. Look, everyone. I think Ospreay is going to win the AEW title. I don't think it's happening.
Let me say this. I'm going to say this. That's why I got to give a lot of respect, commend, and my hats to Sting. Because Sting said, no, I'm not going in a singles match. Because they wanted to Sting win the AEW title. No, I'll team up with Darby. I'll do a tag team. I'm on my way out. And he wasn't selfish. He thought the better of it. I'm not saying Bryan Danielson is selfish. No, I'm not saying that. Please do not interpret. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not a big Daniel Bryan fan either. I didn't like his work. But I don't think it was selfish either. I think it was the owner who said, I want to honor you this way and so forth. And who is he? He said, oh, you want to do it? Fine. I'll go for the ride. That's the way I see it with Danielson. But I think Moxley wins this. I think Swerve falls short. And then everyone's going to be so mad, up in arms with.
I hope that's not the case, man, because I will be upset as well. But
we shall see.
I got something telling me that we're gonna get a Swerve Hangman Punk 3, and I think this would be the way to do it. Hangman winning the Owen Cup, Swerve beating Moxley. Again, I could be completely wrong, but that's what I want to happen.
Hey, I would, and you know what? If they go that route,
he holds that and like you said, if I'm right and he does win and he loses the championship, I will get back on this program and say, Kev, you were right. He was a transitional champion. All that was nothing. But
I don't want to be right either.
I know you don't, but I do have that word. I will admit I do have that word because their big show is up. You know, kind of current events now with Swerve. Like I am a little bit worried for it, but again, I think Swerve is your main guy no matter what. I think so, and you should have him enter your big pay-per-view as champion. That's me. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm sick and tired of Moxley not representing the AEW title when he comes out. That literally, like, Kev, that's the first thing I tweeted. That's the first thing I tweet every Wednesday, and I turn off the show because it's like, why your champion's not representing this company? He doesn't want to. Why isn't he? Never walks out with the AEW title. That pisses me off. That little thing pisses me off. Might not be a big deal. I might be mad or not mad, but like upset for no reason or whatever. Show me the AEW title. Show me that you were proud to be AEW World Champion.
Right. And fair. That's a fair assessment for someone who watches the company, wants to see the world title. You want to see the champion. You want to showcase it. You want to see the world title, and we're not going to be able to see it. It's in a backpack or in a briefcase. Yeah, I get it. But all in all, I still think the pay-per-view is going to deliver. I think people are going to say what a good pay-per-view. It was awesome. The matches, all the stuff you get out of All Elite, but the follow-up. Do they follow up these stories on Wednesday on Dynamite? Do they follow up? Do they make it make sense? You know, the finishers and all that stuff. I mean, I know over and under the amount of false finishes. Don't copy and paste your matches from, this is where the producers and the story writers have to come into an agreement. Dude, I'm using the chair spot in this match, or I'm using a table spot. Don't do it because you're repeating the same thing, or glass or stuff. Do something where it doesn't look like you're copying, pasting, or doing this, or regurgitating the same type of deal. So it'll be interesting to see how they do that.
When they get into Double or Nothing season, like last year, this time was good. Like their build-ups, like they had stories. Like Double or Nothing was like they do such a good job around Double or Nothing. I'm just hoping today they can start that build-up.
Well, we'll move on. I didn't watch Evolve, so I'm not going to break down Evolve because I was doing a basketball game. So Evolve is going to take a little bit of a back burner, not because it's not good. It's really good. The point is there's NBA playoff season and NHL playoff season. right now. To consume that on the channel it gives me a hard time for Evolve. Maybe someone we'll get someone who likes to talk Evolve. I want to do Evolve, but it's just that's going to be a summer thing when the NBA playoffs take a back seat right now. They're going to do inaugural champions for Evolve, men and women. So I can't wait to see that. Zayna Steele looks like a favorite for the women. We're looking at Luca Cusafino for the men or so forth, or Harlem Lewis. You never know, of course, or Keanu Carver. You never know who might come out on one of those. But we'll talk about Evolve eventually. Yes, folks, we're not putting it on the back burner or scrapping it. It's just not enough time in the day to consume it with all the different stuff we do on the Sports Jedi Network. But we don't think we do consume is TNA. We had TNA coming from St. Joseph Civic Arena from Missouri. Santino makes a groundbreaking announcement saying the digital media title is pretty much over. We'll have a tournament for the TNA international title where we're going to do it kind of like back to old school, couple three-way matches to qualify. I loved it. They announced it. Although Mance Warner and Steph Lander didn't like it, taking away the digital media title, out comes Sami Callihan, gives the title back to Santino. But we have a tournament. Your thoughts? I like the way they're going to do this tournament and the international title.
I like the way they're doing the tournament. They announced that there was going to be – it's because they're doing a tribute to the Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Christopher Daniel match. I like it. If it was just a random triple threat tournament, I probably wouldn't be a fan. I don't – because, again, triple threat matches, to me, it all depends who's in them. And you know what I'm saying? But, they announced that what was going to – the concepts, and I like the spinning the wheel and pulling it out of the balls, whatever it was, like those roulette in the back.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Like a Royal Rumble entry.
Yeah, it was creative. It was really creative.
Oh yeah.
It
was so comical on that promo announcing the matches, and it was hilarious.
He's not one of those GMs that, like, I know a lot of people, a lot of the TNA haters, like, they probably couldn't take him serious, but it's like, you can take him serious because
you could.
There were times where Santino, like 95% of the time, Santino's is jokester. But like, if you actually watch the fucking product and you see the interaction that he has with the wrestlers, when the wrestlers push him to his limits, he's like, this guy can really fight. He's a judo black belt. Like he gets to, like, he'll take his, like, he'll be serious when it's necessary. So I kind of like that mixture of Santino.
Right, and we get some qualifier matches coming up for the Thursday pay-per-view, so or next week, and then of course the Unbreakable. It's going to be Thursday night, kicking off WrestleMania weekend. One of the matches we're going to go quickly because I want to get to SmackDown. The Mike Santana brings a friend in who's 3 months sober, clean, to work with the TNA, getting him a job. Out comes the later on in the segments or in the throughout the course of the show, the Mustafa Ali camp gets a hold of him, tortures him, and now he relapses. Again, emotional investment. Now Santana's so upset because Mustafa got to a fellow friend to relapse, where Santana's trying to fight with sobriety, trying to help someone. And Mustafa's sinking down like a snake, a rat, a turd, to the levels of having relapse just with his words. And now you're invested. You want Santana to rip Mustafa Ali's head off now. Chris, I love it. That's what it's about.
No, I like it. I just hope this isn't Mustafa's whole gimmick, like it is when Christian Cage is talking about dead fathers. I hope his whole gimmick isn't just bringing up people's alcohol abuse issues and just
addictions.
That. I hope that's not his entire thing, because that's going to get boring and old after a while. But with when you know the backstory of Santana, this is a really emotional story, and for both of them to, especially Santana, to this is what we're going to do, this is what he seems really on board with it. So he's kind of putting his personal demons out there for us to see on wrestling television. So I can appreciate Mike Santana for that, and I can appreciate Mustafa Ali for being a professional, doing his doing what he's supposed to do. It's good emotional investment, and I think that both of them are doing a good job handling it. So good stuff.
We have an Ultimate X participant coming up at Rebellion.
I can't wait wait for that, man.
Hijo de Valquinho. So he's back from his injury.
Yes.
And he's participating in the Ultimates. That's going to be great.
I'm excited.
Yes, I hope he signs with TNA full time, and yes, I hope so. I hope he gets that there.
His AEW, a couple. Let's say what you want. A couple of his AEW matches are pretty damn cool.
They were good, but they get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them. People call him a spot fest. So like, there's a lot of that in the company, which is kind of why I want him in TNA. Because like, dude, him and Ace Austin, holy shit, that's something I would want to see something happen in the future. Him and Leon Slater. So there's some good matches out in TNA for Eddie and the Kingdom. So
you gave me a crossover. You gave me a crossover with Wesley.
Yeah. Or Javon.
You know,
so it's good.
Right. There's, and hopefully he's there. We had a system. There were rumors out there the system was going to do a firing. They were going to fire someone from the system. Eddie Edwards rehashes everyone and say if they're in. Are you in? Put on the ring. Let's go. But out comes Cody Deaner to interrupt when Moose is chance to say he's in or out, and Cody Deaner gets in the face and wants to rally Moose. But Moose says no. He gives him a knuckle sandwich, and off Cody Deaner goes. So the Moose knuckle beats up on Cody Deaner, and we move on there. The system is stronger than ever.
This wasn't too. I don't want to say great. This wasn't too interesting. I think this was just a little clarification. Like, are you with us? Are you here? Like, just to clarify things. So I don't think nothing big is going to come out of that.
A filler segment, maybe filler promo segment. Okay. But then, of course, backstage, though, they get confronted. The system gets confronted by Santino Marella, telling them that Matt Cardona will woo-woo. You know it. Leon Slater will be the first two entrants in the Ultimate X, followed by Hijo de Vaquinho. So, of course, in that Ultimate X matchup. In a tag team matchup, NXT Metal Girls, Last Legend and Jakara Jackson taking on the former tag team champion, Knockouts champion, Spitfire, Danny Moon and Jody Threat, where Meta gets the victory on the former tag team champions, pinning MKO on the Jody Threat. So I was surprised, and it seems like Meta Girls are making some noise in the Knockouts, the tag team Knockouts division there in TNA.
Yeah, if it's not just a regular tag team match, I think it's going to be a triple threat with Spitfire being in the mix. You know, they still haven't had their rematches for Ash Allegance's Knockouts tag team titles. So I think we're going to get a triple threat match. And I know we've been saying I think we could finally see the Meta Girls finally win, or some WWE people finally win the TNA Gold.
Yes, indeed. We had a match between Frankie Kazarian and Elijah. That was the opening contest. I love
Frankie Kazarian, man.
And Frankie Kazarian continues to be a great.
He looks like the best worker on that damn program.
Yes. He took advantage. Takes his opportunities. Of course, gets the victory on Elijah, almost knocking him out. Frankie Kazarian beats Elijah with a roll-up pin, attacking Joe. But Joe Henry has been teasing that he has a mild stage 3 rotator cuff injury. So I don't know if that's a work or a shoot or if that's something there, because he needs an opponent and he has an injury, but he wants to wrestle through the injury. Medical update: suffered a grade 3 strain to his rotator cuff. So that's something, I don't know if it's storyline wise or something that is actually wrong with him, because the injury bug is hitting the professional wrestling scene again. It rears his ugly head. Let's go to the main event. We have Tessa Blanchard, JC Jane, Jasmine Nix, that's better known as Fatal Influence, with Fallon Henley in their corner, taking on Masha Slamovich, Zaya Brookside, and Li Ying Li from Chongqing, China. Your thoughts of this match? This was a good match. Give me your thoughts on this match.
I'm surprised this was the main event. I'm gonna be honest. It was good. I like Tessa continuing to go out there and get her heat. We got to see her and Masha finally mix it in a little bit. I believe this is their title match at. There's their match at.
They're gonna wrestle. I think a Rebellion, if I'm not mistaken.
A Rebellion. I think finally a Rebellion. Okay, yeah. That's kind of what they're building to too, and because they're that's after their WrestleMania pay-per-view, right?
Yes, Rebellion is the 27th in Los Angeles.
Okay, right. It's a week after WrestleMania night 2. So I like it. We got to see a preview of that. I think those two are gonna have a good match over there. And it was good to see Jason Jane team up with Tessa. They had a good match. I think we're gonna see more of them on TNA, especially maybe hopefully mixing it up for the Knockouts title. But it was a good match. You mix some WWE representation in there, and ultimately you're building up for Masha versus Tessa, and they got their good spots in when it was necessary. And I thought the right team won, so it was good. I'm a little surprised that match was the main event, but it was good. It was good. Well, it wasn't the main event; it was the main event match, but because I already knew what the main event was days before, so that's kind of why maybe selfishly I wish that was a fine. But it was good. It was good. I like Tessa. I think she'll win.
And one thing that we buried a couple of the lead that we mentioned Frankie Kazarian. He did call his shot at Rebellion though. Frankie Kazarian did call his shot because he saw that Joe Henry was a little injured, so he is calling his shot. Remember, he has the call your shot gauntlet. So right now for Rebellion is Joe Henry versus Frankie Kazarian in your main event, and then you got Tessa and Marsha was made for Rebellion as well. The Ultimate X match up there, and then the Nemeth brothers are gonna take on the Hardys for the TNA tag team titles because the Hardys took on the Good Hands and beat them with the Swanton.
Ethan Page doesn't get added into the World.
I don't know. I didn't even know Ethan Page was part of TNA. I didn't even know that.
Watch the show on Thursday?
Because but thank you for throwing the spoilers. Because at the end of the match, when Santino talks about who, there is a in-ring promo being cut for Frankie Kazarian. Out comes Ethan Page to close the show, and he declares himself part of the match. He went to Santino Marella, and now it becomes a triple threat match. But thank you for spoiling because I was trying to build with it, brother. But that's okay. Wow. We'll keep it fade. But that's cool. That's cool. That's why I went that way. And then later on in the evening, it turns into triple threat because they go off the air with Ethan Page coming out and interrupts and makes him search himself. And Kazarian was not happy. Joe Henry now has a third opponent to wrestle, second opponent to wrestle in a match at Rebellion. The deck is stacked against him. So all ego crosses the line, like Chris mentioned, and Page is now in the main event. Opportunities for Ethan Page. So Rebellion looks good. I can't wait to see that. And that is TNA. Of course, I wanted to say that Heather and Ash by Elegance will be adding a new member to the Elegance in Maggie Lee. She signed with the company, and she looks like she's going to, at least for now, it looks like they're going to bring her into the Elegance team, or maybe not. We'll find out when it comes, when her debut comes, when Ash is on vacation from the retreat. We'll find out what happens to her. Let's go into Friday Night SmackDown. Let's go right with Friday Night SmackDown. And, of course, Heyman joins Punk. This is cinema because Punk is teasing and holding that favor in Paul Heyman's pocket. He's taking us on that ride, and Heyman says Reigns is upset about this, and he's not here yet. But he will be here soon. Punk says he's not here yet. Tell him tell him that you owe him a favor, and that will affect Reigns. He says that he wants to tell Roman Reigns and him in his face what the favor is. When he decides to get there, he'll address them. And when he comes out, I'll tell them face to face. Now, the crowd in Chicago was on fire. They gave the Second City Saint the love that he deserves, that he earned. I love to see that. I love the ECW chants for Paul Heyman. Heyman always comes out, does a great job. I love that he let like 10 minutes of Punk talk, then he interrupts with the ladies and gentlemen. That was all great coming out there. I thought it was going to lead into next Friday. I didn't know it was going to be a 2-segment thing with Punk and Roman and Heyman. Because I was like, they did announce Roman to come, but then he said he ain't going to be here. What a way to open up, because you wanted the crowd to start hot. And I debate about that on Good Morning Wrestling when I hosted for Samuel Lyons. Do they open up with Punk, or do you go with the newcomer Rey Fenix? And they went back to back with Rey Fenix. But before we go to Rey Fenix, what your thought on that promo?
Well, I had an idea Roman was coming out because when CM Punk was like, "So Roman's not here," Paul Heyman said, "Not yet." Keyword yet. So I had a feel. I had a feeling they were going to go right back to this, and I like it because Punk's, known for being a real guy. He's not one to not tell it to somebody's face. So that was a little real there. I love that. It's good. It's good storytelling, and obviously, those guys are great, friends outside the business. So whatever they do together in the ring is always going to be really good stuff. But it's good because now you have us wait until the end of the show, like Paul Heyman said, Roman's not here yet. We all have speculation he will be later, and CM Punk says, well, when he gets here, I'll tell him. So I think for me personally, I know I wanted the show to end just to see what happened. Obviously, I wanted to see Rey Fenix and Charlotte and some of the other stuff that was going to happen, but the whole time, I didn't watch it. I watched the rest of it this morning, but I could see like, hey, I want this now. I want to see what's going on. So they did a really good job of keeping the viewers there so they could see what's going on later.
Yeah, I want to talk about this Rey Fenix debut. He take on Nathan Frazier, one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions. Penta, when he first came on, I believe he took on one half of a tag team as well. Who was his debut for Penta?
Gable. It was way better.
Was Gable? No, okay, it was Gable. Your thoughts? I thought the match was really good. I thought Rey Fenix did what Rey Fenix does. Got in with Nathan Frazier, who worked quickly. They worked fast. They were showcasing their speed in this match, and delivered a great match, in my opinion. The muscle buster, the finish, all that for you. This wasn't an enhancement talent match, so everyone get upset on that move. And even I said, man, that looked like a finisher. Why did Nathan kick out? Because Nathan Frazier is still one half of a tag team champion and one of the best tag team champions in professional wrestling right now. It's okay to him kick out on one of those moves, but the muscle buster finisher, I get it. It was good. And even the miss spot when he went through the ropes and his foot got tangled a little bit for Nathan Frazier, it was a little bit of a mishap, but it wasn't totally sloppy. It wasn't that bad.
Well, his foot got caught, and if you saw Rey Fenix had to go like that to catch him, I think Frazier could have ended a little. It could have landed a little bit wrong with his foot got caught. I think Rey Fenix saved them at the end of that, but
it saved them, but it wasn't blatant.
No, you barely noticed it.
Barely noticed it. It wasn't like missing a table. When you're power, or you can't pick up your opponent and try to slam them onto the table. You tried 3 times and then you still missed the table. That wasn't that blatant, but still, the crowd still kept the energy going for Phoenix. Phoenix gets the victory, and you see the tears of emotion. He was crying when he won that title.
It looked like Penta. Looked like a Penta debut. Looked exactly like Penta's debut.
They're brothers, and they know they've been through the same struggles.
I can't wait till they get together. Those one of the best tactics of this. If you guys seen what they did for AEW as a tag team, I can't wait for some of you guys that haven't seen it to go watch those guys. Eventually, later on down the road, a year or whatever, when those guys meet up as a tag team and we get the Lucha Bros, you guys are gonna be impressed because those guys did so much and they were amazing. But yeah, I liked it. You got emotional at the end. He's waited his whole life to say he's WWE. And we're gonna see what I think they're doing a good job with Penta. Putting him, IC title. He's having big matches. Started the Royal Rumble against Rey, so I think they're doing a good job with Penta. So I don't see why they couldn't do a good job with Rey.
We'll see on that there. I want to move a little bit in a second. Give me a second here for SmackDown. Because we're running out a little bit of time. I wanted to talk about everyone wants to talk about the in-ring first with Charlotte and Tiffany. I want to do one thing though before we get to that. It's B-Fab and Naomi. I remember I said I wanted to put a pin on it earlier when we were talking about.
That what you're talking about right now?
That's what I wanted to get right now because in a short time, because me and Chef Dan had an over and under. I said, Dan, 7.5 or 8 minutes match. He took the under. We saw B-Fab come out in her entrance, get attacked by Jade Cargill. We thought the match was going to be thrown out. I said, oh, here comes the IWC with the woman deserves better. But no, Naomi trucked down and made it to the ring, got into the ring, and had her match with B-Fab. The match lasted, I believe, 4 minutes. I could be wrong, a little bit over more, maybe around there. 4.5 minutes. But in that 4.5 minute short span, B-Fab told a hell of a story in her emotions and her aggression, because she was hell-bent to get her hands in and beat the crap out of Naomi after Jade got her at the ramp. B-Fab put in her moves and attacked, and she was aggressive. You saw it to the point where she was yelling like, "I'm gonna," and it was short, but it made the point. They didn't have to circle the block to get across the street, and they did that. Naomi gets the victory, and I appreciate that. When I mentioned, I thought about when we talked about I think it's the Kyle Fletcher or the Harley Cameron versus Athena match. You don't have to circle the block. I think that was the match that I said we'll put a pin on it, and I wanted to bring it towards Naomi and B-Fab. If they do it that way correctly, I think it's fine. You're good with it. You're not going to be upset, and you're not going to be, oh damn. I think that I appreciate what they did. They gave the women the time, and they went to it. And of course, Naomi gets the victory. Jade Cargill comes back and beats Naomi some more. So that feud is interesting. They announced it for WrestleMania. I am happy that they're going to have this match at WrestleMania, because Naomi was brought into this company from TNA to be a headliner. She's a heel. Now make it work. Make it work. Go out there as your heel and take on this obstacle in Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill's going to get her first singles WrestleMania match. Remember, she was part of the Big Three last year with the 6-woman tag. Now they're going to go one-on-one. It's okay to put this match. I want to see this story with Naomi and Jade. Jade is hell-bent with, she's angry, bothered, upset. There's rage. There's emotion. I'm good with it. I'm glad they announced it for WrestleMania, where you can't complain about the representation of the black women or black athletes. You put that there, and it's not a token match. There's a story behind this, because she was attacked and was taken out. There's a story that makes sense on a grudge match, and I'm happy they put it on that there. But we'll move on here. Let's go to the big one, though, that everybody talks about, because I'm running short of time. I got to prep for a basketball game. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton in that in-ring interview with Wade Barrett. Some people say that Tiffany went off script. Charlotte went off script. Last thing I heard, there is no script. Vince McMahon is not part of this company. So what are you talking about, script, off script? You don't know that, because Vince is not there and no one works on scripts. Everybody, Triple H has given liberties and freedom. There's bullet points. But your thoughts, the crowd did not let Charlotte get a word out. That's greatness. What was your thought?
I thought this was bad. I thought the crowd didn't let her get a single word. That's actually where I was going to start with. I understand the boo. You guys do it with Dominic, and you guys do it with Tessa over in TNA. Like, I get it. You might not like her, but when she's a part of one of the bigger matches in the women's side of the WrestleMania card, can you let her get her point across so we could hear on TV what they're saying? Like, you guys might be able to hear it's decent in the arena still, because there's microphones and all that shit. When we're watching it on TV, it's like, and when you guys talk and you guys are saying curse words, the network blocks it and we can't even hear the promo. So like, that's the one thing I had. It's not. I agree with Kev. I don't care about scripts. I think there's just bullet points. We don't know that, but it felt kind of weird. Like, the look what's in my DMs. Like, it was kind of like, it got a good pop, but like it
couldn't hardly hear it.
You could hardly hear it, and it made no sense to throw that in there. I mean, I guess Tiffany started it when she said you're 0-3, like your marriage. I don't know.
She said you're gonna be alone and you're 0-3. She didn't say.
Oh, okay. So she said something like that. So, I thought it was kind of not all over the place, but like from the crowd, from me not understanding some of it because of the crowd. From
I'll take a slice, Heather.
Kind of yeah, me too. Kind of the end there where the shot. I don't know if the shots made well with what they were saying before, if that makes sense. To me, at least.
Okay.
To me, like they were talking about something different, like and then they brought up Tiffany brings up the 0-3, and then look with they went from okay, like I'm getting here, like I can't hear with the crowd, but this is okay, and then they started getting there, and then it started going downhill, and then Tiffany dropped out. I don't know what the point was for that. It wasn't one of their better promo battles.
I thought Tiffany did fine. I thought she did fine with her. What isn't wrestling with a little realism? Okay, because Tiffany would have not went there, but Charlotte went on a talk show and talked about her personal life. She opened that. She went out and spoke publicly about it. So to me, when it comes to the wrestling world, you're open. It's fair game now because you went on a talk show and talked about it. Same thing with Carmella on that tour. Why she's not in the WWE? Oh, if you go on
that tour.
So Tiffany brought that bullet point out there. That's fine. To me, I'm not gonna get bothered with it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, she crossed the line.
No. I was talking about just what they were talking about, kind of transition into that. I'm not saying what she said was wrong or over the line. Some of it
wasn't the smoothest. That's what you mean. I don't.
It wasn't a smooth transition from what they were talking about to that. I'm not saying anything about the line. Like no, like you said, wrestling realism. I'm just saying how they maybe got there. You know what I'm saying? How they maybe got to that point was a little confusing.
I think Tiffany. I think Charlotte got stumped for the first time in her career. Didn't expect that natural dislike. You could tell in her face she got stumped. Oh, damn.
She was like, whoa, I agree. Yeah.
And you could see that there, and it's like, damn, she didn't expect that. And I think she's not. I don't think she's mentally in that state of mind. Going through a divorce, regardless of the fact, isn't easy. Regardless if it's mutually apart and you're still friends and all that, it's still not easy. So maybe in her mindset mentally wasn't there to compare the bulls and feels like everything is against her crashing down. So wow. I'm not so sure. I'm pretty sure Tiffany had a few scripted lines, but Charlotte no-sold all of it. That's another thing as well. So if it was not scripted, did she go off the script? And Tiffany was like, screw this. Because Tiffany does have that kind of an attitude. Screw this. I'm going for mine. I'm going to say what I need to say. And she went there. The Kaiser DM stuff, it just fell on deaf ears. Ooh, okay, got a pop. It wasn't nothing,
Is he the is he in her DMs for real though? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think so. That's just something like.
I'm just joking.
I mean, who cares anyway? If they are. At the end of the day, it's. Are you ladies going to entertain me in the match and put on a match?
Is this going to make you guys watch the match? That's all.
Or if anything, it's not even going to lessen it. To me, it's like hurry up and get there and get in the ring and let's get this match going. Yeah. Enough with the talk. Like here's a line of Mark Henry. No, it's time for the action. Enough with the talk. It's time for the action.
No, and I'm not going to go too long because we got to get ready for the Knicks. But what I will say is, I kind of wish the roles were opposite, where Charlotte was champion and Tiffany was chasing after her. To me, I think that would kind of make Tiffany look a little more like dominant, especially if she were to beat Charlotte at WrestleMania. I kind of wish the story was flip-flop.
Yeah, I think that's SummerSlam. I think this show. No,
I would like that.
I think that you're gonna get that reverser.
Yeah, I kind of want to, and I do want to see it from that sense. I'm not saying it's bad now, but I do want to see the sense where, because Charlotte compared to Charlotte's here, Tiffany, to a lot of people, especially with careers. So I think her possibly winning. I think again, SummerSlam, I like the idea of reversing it because I think it would be good for Tiffany to kind of win the championship from her to make her. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. Of course, we got Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu in that last man standing. That was a organized, well collision course of train wreck. To see Jacob Fatu wins, now he's going to take on LA Knight. Here's the one thing that I'm worried with LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. I want to elaborate, but we don't have enough time. I wish I could break into that because we and Chef talk about that. I hope that Jacob Fatu doesn't get Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa was built at this monster who didn't lose a lot of matches. And when he lost his first matches, we never saw him the same. We see him now. Now we see Solo, we think, he's going to lose. He's a jobber, or he's the weak link of the because when you build someone that strong, they have to eventually take a loss. And does he lose to LA Knight, or does he take the Intercontinental United States title from LA Knight? That's a question to ask there. But let me read this one more. Charlotte seems way too insecure in that segment. And it was two teenage girls fighting in the school. Yeah, Charlotte and Charlotte's normally a confident Heather, right? But here's the thing. She's going through too much in her personal that kind of, it felt for the first time, it felt that she couldn't separate Ashley Flair and Charlotte Flair. And she couldn't separate Ashley from Charlotte in this last night. And she's done a great job in her whole entire wrestling career of doing that, except for last night. So, hey, look, she's only human. That's all I got to say with Charlotte. She's only human. We don't have our best days. And I think last night she couldn't separate those two. She couldn't, and that's a rare slip up from Charlotte, aka Ashley. That was a rare slip up in her character and the way she's been brought up in this business from being the daughter of Ric Flair. Charlotte wins and Cena wins at the same time. Wow. You're probably correct. You're probably correct on that. But let me go to the final segment here when we have now Roman Reigns finally shows up with Punk Heyman, where Roman and Seth Rollins just sitting there with popcorn enjoying the festivities, where Punk tells Roman that Paul Heyman is going to be in his corner. That was the favor because a promise he made years ago about when he main events WrestleMania, he'll be by the side of the kid. And Paul Heyman, for now, is a man of his word because he did say before Roman got to the arena, whatever the favor is, I agree to it. I agree. I got to making things right with my tribal chief. And a man of his word, Punk and Roman, disappointed with Paul Heyman, feel like a little betrayal or letdown that he's going to be in Punk's corner. He's messing with his mind. And now it resonates to Seth Rollins. I told you, if you let the snake in here, he's going to you make things worse. And I love that's that drama, Phil, when they close out. Paul Heyman now becomes an X factor. Does he help Roman? I'll be in your corner, walk you out, but I'm going to help my tribal chief at this match. Or Punk, you made me lose the best thing I have, my meal ticket in the Islands of Relevancy. I'm going to screw you because you're making me bring some you took me out of Island of Relevancy. Or I want to get back in the grace of the tribal chief. I'm going to screw you, Punk, for making me choose. Or I'm just going to go with Rollins because he was right. We let this snake make back in here, and Roman is this and that. I mean, Paul Heyman plays an integral part for him in this WrestleMania match.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. I think, Paul Heyman I can't do that. My tribal, it was kind of like, whoa,
his tears, his emotions,
stepping up to Roman Reigns like that. I was like, wow. No, I love it. I enjoy it because I kind of want them to run it back. And what I mean run it back is we know what it was when CM Punk and Paul Heyman were with each other when Punk was the heel, especially during that Undertaker feud at WrestleMania 29. It was 29 in MetLife. So if you guys seen this before, it's good stuff, man. Especially, Paul would come out with Paul Bear's thing and CM Punk would just talk his shit. They could do so much with Paul turning on Roman at WrestleMania and the crowd kind of being like I think the crowd wouldn't like it. I think the crowd loves Paul Heyman with Roman, and I think Roman's really over now. I know he was over as a heel when he was champion, but now he's not, and he's babyface. So I think people would be really heartbroken, especially if Punk were to win. Not to win, but if were to win at the end of the match, it's like Paul Heyman gives Punk a hug, and it's I'm done with you, my tribal chief. And then they go on a great heel run like they did back in the day. There's so many scenarios, especially with Seth Rollins kind of being like, I told you so, like this Roman kind of being like, all right, Seth, like let's work together now, like, and Seth's like, nope, I told you, like, I don't know, there's so many different things. I'm excited. I'm not disappointed in the favorite. The favorite delivered.
Okay, I'm glad.
Oh, there's this favor. Sometimes when it stuff like that, when it's real, people are like, oh, like we waited all that, but no, I thought this lived up to the hype.
I've heard a few people did not like it. Oh, this is all they were complaining, but of course, this is the internet community that always wants to complain and say things. Always, everything is never good. Everything's always a complaint or a dislike. Personally, I'm all right with it. Because Paul Heyman doesn't have the ability to book matches to put people in the main event. But I thought you had that door open when he has The Rock's phone number, the phone with his casing on it. They never touched on that, where he could have said, "You're the board member of TKO. I want you to put him in the match in case there's a fail safe or if John Cena can't come through, Punk is the guy to get." My guy Punk, I advocate for Punk to be the guy to dethrone Cody. He won't see it coming. Some type of dissension of Paul Heyman. That is typical Paul Heyman. But no, just because they didn't do it doesn't mean it's not wrong. I like what they did. I like the favor that something that was talked about years ago, and they went well. Trust me, as a woman, the segment did not sit well with me, and it was totally unnecessary. All right, got you. I got you. That's the Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Heather, right? That's the segment you talked about. That segment is going to be when we look at the build for that match. That's going to be a one that we wish to have not taken back. I thought they were going to do. If anything, they should if they would have done that with a contract signing, then you don't need to see them. But now I don't need to see a contract signing on Friday again. I don't need to see these women in the again with a contract sign. I don't like that. I gotta admit, Seth cracked me up last night. But when AEW does things based on friendship, loyalty, and backstabbing, people call it soap opera. But when Roman Punk do it, it's cinema. I don't think it's soap opera. I think it's I think you need storytelling there, Heather. Give me an example where people are upset about a backstabbing drama in AEW with friends. Unless it's the Bucks.
MJF and Cole. You're supposed to be my friend, and they were beat. That's what.
That wasn't bad. That was not bad. It was the build for the build for the devil reveal was like
that was it
because there was no good follow up. There was no good follow up. If they would have done great follow up with the devil and Adam Cole and all that, then we're talking about that was really good.
The original storyline where it was. The reason why is because you were supposed to be my friend, like that. I didn't mind that, but I understand what Heather's saying, but I haven't heard it.
But then they don't do their own follow ups. Even when he turned on the Pinnacle, MJF, that was no one was complaining about it back then. That was a hell of a good swerve and a good turn and stuff like that. But I guess sometimes people want to critique everything negative or say that thing that sucked. I thought that was one of the best work there. That Pinnacle turn from MJF, and AEW does different things there. But we'll see how that goes. But guys, I'm gonna say this is all for this afternoon because I have a game in about 20 minutes or a half hour, 40 minutes, whatever the case is, to get something quick to eat. Guys, you were great. Thank you for that. Don't forget to tune in to Good Morning Wrestling Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays with Samuel Lyons. Hopefully his internet connection is working strong. He's present. I put an APA, a smoke signal, to where his whereabouts. But hopefully Monday he will be here for Good Morning Wrestling with Samuel Lyons, morning show at 8 o'clock in the morning. So he's talking to wrestling. Hey, he's daring enough to want to do a show, talk wrestling, bring the world professional wrestling. Why not? The channel is available, and that goes to everyone that listens or watch along. If you want to do a wrestling or any content, just reach out to me. I'm willing to produce it, willing to give opportunity to do the channel, get your feet wet, talk about wrestling. You want to talk about Lucha Libre wrestling? It doesn't have to be just WWE. You want to talk AEW, you want to talk New Japan, you want to talk OPW, you want to talk, GCW, MLW. It's available. the more wrestling content we could put out with other folks and other mindsets and other point of views, the more the merrier. I want to, ladies, where you're at, I want the ladies' perspective in wrestling. I would love a roundtable discussion here, Heather thoughts with some other knowledgeable, intelligent women talk about their thoughts of the promo, how does it resonate, didn't sit with you, how that made you uncomfortable as a female. Is there enough female representation on these premium live events, cards, or weekly shows? I want to hear all that from a woman's perspective. We want to hear you. You guys have a big voice and it matters, and we want to listen to it. We want to listen and we want to understand. So the Sports Jedi Network is always available for that program. Ready front and center. We're ready to produce. We'll make a nice intro. We'll get all that and we'll get you rolling. Hit me up on X, BSJedi76 or BSJedi76@gmail.com. We'll set something up, a Zoom meeting or backstage here on Playback or on YouTube or whatever on our studios, and we can have a conversation and build a show and all that stuff. So with me and Chris, Chef Dan, Samuel, Canary, Terrence, all the Heal the Ring crew, we say thank you guys. Join the family. Come join, be part of the network, part of the family. We want to grow this. We want to be a force in the wrestling community. So with that said, have a wonderful afternoon. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Buenas noches.